It's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Drivers, start your engines!
Michael Conti comes up at a corner number 4 to the checkered flag. He wins his first NASCAR iRacing.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are deep in the heart of Texas with this, the 7th round of the 2014 ISOWC IndyCar Series. It is the ISOWC Showdown in Texas, powered by &Warner Designs. Will Vincent along with Jake Cameron, and Jake, after a fascinating iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series race early on today, now we head over to the high banks of Texas for 2, maybe even 3 ride racing as these drivers average 215 miles an hour a lap.
Yeah, very different from earlier on the road circuit of Montreal. We're looking at some high speed 215 mile an hour racing around, as you said, maybe 3 wide around a track, not much wider than an interstate. So this is going to be absolutely nail biting stuff, and if drivers are going to get it wrong, we could see some big wrecks.
Track measurement is just a little under 1.5 miles. It's actually officially 1.455 miles, which was measured by CART back in 2001 when they had that ill-fated Firestone 600. Today, drivers will be running for 600 kilometers, and track temperature is 84 degrees Fahrenheit, a southerly wind of 5 miles an hour, race relative humidity is 78%. And Jake, previous years this event has been 550 kilometers. This year we add on an extra 50, and those extra 32 laps actually can be really important, especially when you consider fuel strategy.
Yeah, drivers really want to hope to use their last year's fuel strategy are going to get a big no-no slapped across their face, because you're not going to be able to do that because you've got an extra 32 laps to run. So drivers will have to rethink their strategies from the last season, and hopefully they'll get them down to a T for this one. But it'll be very interesting to see what them 32 laps can bring as we get extra racing for you guys as well.
The track is pretty much flat on the front and back stretchway. Just about 4 degrees of banking on the front stretch, however 24 degrees of banking in the corners. And unlike places like Atlanta and Charlotte, there's actually a very big drop-off between the track and the apron area. So Jake, if you put 2 wheels down on that flat, really your car is going to turn around in a hurry. And you've also got to be careful about that outside wall on the exit of turn 2.
Yeah, I think drivers are going to try and run that CCM line as well, where you just hug the bottom of the racetrack, and you know, you get that a tiny bit wrong and you go below the apron and you're going to be screwed, and that's going to maybe cause a big wreck. So we've got to hope we don't see one of them and hope drivers give each other enough room. But also, as you mentioned, Will, that turn 2 exit of the bend is an astonishing challenge for some of the best drivers, really, because you just push on coming out of the turn 2, especially if you're running on the bottom line. So drivers are going to have to find that one hard, and especially if we're going 3 wide, people are going to have to hold their line and give and take.
Race control has been very strict in the lead up to this race. Of course, on ovals, drivers have to enter the pit lane by using the apron for all the way through turn 3 and 4. Coming back onto the front straightaway, come back onto the racetrack, they can't come out on the front stretch. They have to use the apron in turns number 1 and 2. Been a lot of talk as well about blocking, defensive driving. Race control has been very strict on that, so expect to see some penalties handed out throughout the course of this event. Checkered flag is out for the end of practice, and that means we're going to head it down to the race grid in just 1 moment's time. And as we have a look through that grid, fascinating to see Miguel Angel Martinez out in front in that number 25 car. Lining up alongside him in that first row will be Martin Miller. Row number 2, Niles Anders and Vic Cordell, with that third row of Ron Mayer Jr. and Eric Davis. Row 4, Michael Armstrong, Terry Mattinson, Josh Chin and Michael Dinkle in row number 5. Michelle De Jong and Carl also in the 6th row, with Matt Kingsbury and Gorg Nudrox in row number 7. Then row number 8 is Andreas Warner and Mike Owen. Row number 9, Timo Isimniemi and Cam Stark. Then row 10, Christian Mansoon and Nigel Marneef, as the rest of qualifying times coming up on your screen momentarily. 38 drivers, Jake, ready to do battle deep in the heart of Texas.
Incredible field, isn't it, Will? Real good names on the grid as well. Joshua Chin, Vic Cardell, Niles Anders, Martin Miller, Miguel Angel Martinez, Michael Armstrong in there. You know, Michael Dinkle in there as well, championship leader. Matt Kingsbury, Andreas Warner, Mike Owen, Timo Isimniemi. Some real top class names in there, Will, and we're about to see them do battle over 600 kilometers of Texas International Speedway. And what a race this is going to be as drivers now pull off from the starting grid to follow the pace car round on their first rolling lap.
Yep, so just 1 lap around the pace car. Niles Anders starting in the 3rd position. This is his first race in this car for quite a while. He's starting from the 3rd position. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, you can follow us on Twitter at RaceSpotTV. Also Facebook.com/RaceSpotTV as well. Like the video, subscribe, do all that malark. And we hope that you're going to have a great race here today at Texas Motor Speedway for this, the 7th round of the ISOWC IndyCar Series, powered by And Warner Design and also iRaceForLife.org. The lights are off on top of the pace car. Cars working themselves down into corner number 3. Miguel Angel Martinez, a number 25 car, starting this race here today from pole position. However, keep an eye out on that guy on the outside of him, Martin Miller. He is a very accomplished driver for Banshee Autosports, and as we get back to the intermediate ovals, expect him to really put some pressure on that Team Velociraptor number 25 car. Pace car coming down onto pit road. We might get a caution early. Hopefully everyone comes through turn number 1 and 2 okay. Pace car comes in. The 7th round of the ISOWC IndyCar Series starts right now. Good jump there by Niles Anders. He's going to try and go down to the inside of Martin Miller as they come down into turn 1 and 2 for the first time. He will get that job complete, and Miller falls into line. Vic Cordell very high, having to get out of the gas. That's going to allow Eric Davis to go past. Also his teammate Terry Mattinson to go past. And that is one of those things. Early on, people just need to settle down. And this is a very long race day. So people right now want to make it fast that first 100, 200 miles.
Settling down is not what they do, and Carl also there just made contact with Andreas Warner on the home straight, not giving each other enough room. They're continuing this race though, little bit of contact there. They were 3 wide at the start of that race though. Matt Kingsbury, also Michael Dinkle there. They were all 3 wide through turn 1 and 2.
So we've got Niall McBride, who I think he's fallen a lap down already. He might have started this race on pit road.
DNF, he didn't start.
He started this race on pit road, and he is all the way up on the racetrack right now. Now, this is actually going to settle the gas down as he has to really get out of the gas there. That's going to mean that guys behind him are going to stack up quite a lot. You see Michael Dinkle going down to his inside. I just don't think that McBride's car is working in dirty air. And when you hung out to dry on the outside line, all the cars going underneath him, he had to slow down by 30 miles an hour there on the exit of turn number 2 just to avoid that wall.
Yeah, he really did have to turn down a lot there and get out of the throttle, and you know, he did lose a lot of speed there, and that made everyone else behind him check up. And that could have caused a big wreck there for the guys behind him. If I was him, it would have been better just to run in line for a little while. Caution is out.
Yep.
We'll have to find out where that is on the racetrack. That's TM Hauser on the back straight away.
So TM Hauser, his bad luck continues there in at number 56, a Vortex machine. Replay up on your screen. Now, this all started, Tim Miller got a little bit high on the exit of the corner. He hit the wall. TM Hauser followed him in. And then a second car was involved in that. That was Dujon Baldwin there. Baldwin's car has got some damage to it. I'm anticipating he will have some difficulties for the rest of the day, but TM Hauser out. And you've got to say that for Hauser, I think he saw Tim Miller running that high line. As Hauser came up the racetrack a little bit, Miller's car just kind of took all the air away, and as soon as that Hauser got into the gate, it was game over, hitting that wall on the outside of turn number 2 that we talked about at the top of this broadcast, Jake.
Yeah, very unlucky there for TM Hauser. He's going to be very disappointed with that one, but that is that aero wash we were on about. You know, you just get lifted up a little bit and it will send your car around or into the wall, and it looks like Tim Miller's going to bring that car down pit road. I don't think he's going to be able to get that repaired though this time by Will, because he's got a lot of crabbing going on there, just going down onto the apron now where drivers are meant to go into pit road. That is where they will be entering when they make their first pit stop. Whether drivers come down pit road under this first caution, we are only now 5 laps into the race, is what we'll have to see. Miguel Angel Martinez still leads the way. They have all stayed out in this race.
So it looks like pretty much everyone is staying out for the time being. Now, an interesting thing, Vic Cordell comes onto pit road. He did have some issues at the start of this race, getting very tight on the exit of turn number 2. Perhaps he's going to add a click of front wing. And, of course, these drivers, Jake, as they always say on ABC, on ESPN, ESPN on ABC even, the guys have got tools they can use in their car. They've got the anti-roll bar, both front and rear. They also have the weight jacker they can use as well to loosen the car or tighten the car up. Now on this track, with these conditions, I expect to see these guys using a lot of their in-car tools.
Yeah, it's a shame really we don't have like what ABC do and have an actual virtual steering wheel we can show and press buttons on like they do, but you know, maybe in the future, hey, well, you never know. But yeah, they're going to be using them tools quite a bit around here, especially with the wind conditions, and it's going to be a lot of effect, especially on that weight jacker. Their drivers are going to have their buttons assigned for that, and they're going to be switching that at probably every lap or two when they feel that the tank is going down on the fuel. You know, you need to make that car tighter, or you need to make that car looser as you're losing weight. That's what then going to affect the weight jacker, because you need to tighten that car up a lot to stop it from being loose, because if you don't make any in-car adjustments, the car is going to get looser and looser and looser as you just go along.
So, this is how it stands right now. It is Martinez leading right now, as the lights are still on the top of the pace car, from Miller, from Anders, from Cordell. Then it's Mayer Jr., Davis, Armstrong, Tinton, Chin and Dinkle. They're your top 10 now. Anders able to get that job done over Miller at the start. It does seem to be that Martin Miller in that number 36 car. Actually, no, he's actually now still in that third position, so I take that back completely. It's Martinez from Anders and Miller from Mayer Jr. from Armstrong. They are your top 5. Miller's one of those drivers. He's not going to push it too hard, too early. I expect to see him really just stay in line for the time being and save some fuel, because fuel saving can be important in this race.
Yeah, fuel saving really can, because, you know, looking at Miguel out front, he's going to have to either ease off the throttle when he is running out on front, because he's not going to have that draft to pull him along and save that fuel. And the strategy is a big part in this race. We've got 250 laps to run, remember, so if they can make that fuel last for 50 lap stints, that's only going to be four pit stops, so they're going to have to think about that. But I think an average lap of fuel, average tank of fuel, around here takes about 60-70 laps, isn't it, Will?
It's anywhere, especially considering the wind conditions. It can be anywhere from about 50 laps to about 60 laps, depending on the wind conditions, depending if people are flat out. It did seem to be that in the draft, guys are lifting through turn number 2, so actually, it might be the best place to be. Of course, you've got to remember as well about the tyres, whether or not these guys can be okay with the tyres. Lights are off on top of the pace car. That means, Jake, we're going to go racing in just 1 lap's time.
Yeah, we're about to be green flag racing again, and that's what people want to see. We don't want to see these cautions, do we, Will? Cautions are boring. We want to see some hard racing, 3 wide hopefully again, you know, on that start. Matt Kingsbury, a few others as well were all 3 wide. Carl also was 3 wide, you know. There was some great racing going on in the back of the field, and it's really nice to see that drivers not taking it steady at the start, you know. They're just going balls deep and all guns are blazing, trying to get the positions made up to the front of the field. So very interesting to see how drivers will be on the single file restarts.
Yeah, so it is single file restarts. This is new to the 1.5 mile ovals. Generally, that most people are doing double file restarts on the large tracks. However, in line with the Verizon IndyCar Series, the ISOWC has mandated it is now single file restarts. Now, this is an interesting one because we don't yet see all the drivers hugging the wall. You see Niles Anders starting to do it already. Andreas Warner doing the same as well. But normally expect to see these guys really hug the wall. The issue is, on the outside, you get more of a transition as you come onto the flats, so there's more of a chance of spinning your tyres. In fact, Niles isn't going to... I'll tell you a story about Niles Anders at this track in just a couple of moments' time. We're going to go back to green flag racing. Pace car comes in. Miguel Angel Martinez picks up the pace. Green flag, back in the air. Good restart by your top 4, 5, 6 drivers. In fact, though, you have got a bit of a 5-car breakaway right now because Joshua Chin was a little bit slow going. And a caution. Cautions breeding cautions there, Jake.
Yeah, cautions breeding cautions there again. That was Michael de Jong there at the start, getting very loose and slidey, and he sort of checked up the rest of the field, but I can't actually see where these cautions happened. Will.
It was 3 wide down onto the tri-oval, and Renan Lopez on the outside, and you had on the middle of the racetrack James McClure. Now, just getting a replay of that up on your screen, it does seem to be that McClure was in that middle of the racetrack, and I'm not sure whether Lopez didn't realise whether he was there, because it does look as though he came down a little bit.
I'm getting a replay of that on my screen. Yeah, it does. Yeah, he did come down on him, Will. That's very unfortunate there. That's one of them things, though.
First race in this series, actually, for Renan Lopez, one of the top drivers in the iRacing Brazil IndyCar Series. We've got a big announcement coming up on that. Keep your calendars marked for the day before the ISOWC Indianapolis 500, a great all-star event concerning drivers from the 16th Street Racing League and from the ISOWC and from the iRacing Brazil IndyCar Series. Of course, all of this action you can see in the iRacing Brazil and RaceSpotTV family of networks, and that'll be the day before the ISOWC Indianapolis 500. We are getting closer and closer now to the Pocono 500 and then the Indy 500 to the Triple Crown event in the ISOWC Series, Jake.
Yeah, 2 of the Triple Crown events, but not only that, Will, we're coming to the start of the DW12 in the ISOWC, and I think that is what a lot of drivers and spectators are waiting to see, is that DW12 put into some league action, because really at the moment you've only got the super speedway version, so we can't use it on all tracks, but as soon as that comes around, I think we're going to have an absolutely amazing field of cars, and I think we're going to fill the grid quite quickly and quite easily with a decent field of drivers.
Yeah, and we've got the Pocono 500 coming your way on RaceSpotTV. That'll be on July the 5th. It's actually one of the biggest events the ISOWC has ever produced, where we get more than 500 drivers racing in the ISOWC Pocono 500, and the top split of that will be here live on RaceSpotTV. We are looking forward to that one. As it stands right now, lights are on the pace car. Our second caution of the day, 11 laps scored complete. Martinez leads from Anders, from Miller, from Mayer Jr., from Armstrong, from Davis, from Chin, from Dinkel, from Kingsbury, from Martinson. They are your top 10 right now. Drivers out the race, they are Dujon Baldwin, TM Helser, Benjamin Gregory is running, but he scored laps down. Renan Lopez, Dave Jinks and Nell McBride all scored 1 lap down for the time being, but are circulating. So really, just 2 retirees, Jake.
Yeah, 2 retirees really, and that's not nice to see on these early laps, because 11 laps in really, and you shouldn't really see 2 retirees. I don't really think we should see 2 cautions, Will. It's drivers not using their head at the moment, I don't think. I think they need to sort themselves out, give themselves a kick in the ear, and get on with racing and start being a bit cleaner and give and taken, because I don't really think we're going to see much taken today, Will. I think we're going to see a lot of giving, and drivers ain't going to take, and that's where we're going to see caution, and when that happens, it's caution breeds a caution.
Caution breeds a caution as well, and for Martinez, lights are still on the pace car, so we looking as though we're going to have a lap and a half left to caution. Martinez is looking strong out front, though.
Yeah, he was looking strong out in front. A really good restart from him, and he got away from Niles Anders, who we actually expected to make a better start than our race leader Martinez. So very interesting to see him. Martin Miller didn't get the best of start, and looking through the field, Michael Armstrong got a really good start, but Michael de Jong dropped back about 4 or 5 places on that restart. Will he got very loose on the start. We know Texas is notorious to really bad restarts where drivers just spin their wheels due to not having the correct weight jacket or due to poor throttle control, and that's just what happened with him, and he checked the rest of the field up, which I don't actually think caused that other caution, but it did allow a lot of drivers by, and it did also check up a lot of drivers.
The race control are a little bit angry after that restart. They have issued a couple of warnings out to drivers, and they've also issued a warning out to John Porzek for dummying onto pit road. Now, one of the rules is basically for safety, to make sure that drivers, well, if they're coming onto pit road, come onto pit road and not a dart from the pit lane off of the pit lane. John Porzek issued with a warning for that one there, Jake.
Yeah, very silly. That's another silly thing to do, really, Will, because that could cause a wreck, you know, when he's coming down into pit road and drivers go high to overtake him and he cuts back up, you know, it could cause a wreck, and it's just silly and stupid. We see it in NASCAR, alright, and stuff like that, but just get on with it. If you're going to pit. Don't do all this rubbish and fake pit stops, you know, it's stupid. As the lights are now off of the pace car as we head into turn number 3 to go green flag racing for the 3rd time in this one.
Yep, going to be 13 laps scored complete out of 250 in this, the ISOWC Showdown at Texas, powered by And Warner Designs. And Warner Designs, the official graphics partner of the ISOWC IndyCar Series and RaceSpotTV. We've got some great stuff to bring you from And Warner Designs in the next couple of weeks here on RaceSpotTV. We are sure that you guys are going to love it. Pace car makes that journey down towards pit road once again. Martinez and Manders from Miller, and green flag back in the air here at Texas Motor Speedway.
Green flag, green flag.
Will everyone get through turn number 1 and 2 this time? The answer is going to be your top 9, 10 drivers easily able to do so. They are single file for the most part. You've got Andres Warner trying to look on the outside of one driver right now. That is Michel De Jong, but everyone is single file and also spread out. This is an interesting one now, Jake.
Yeah, really interesting start there. Every driver actually managing to single file there is too wide, actually, one part of the racetrack, but they've now gone into a single file stretch, and we seem to have a 7-car breakaway here for the lead, from Miguel Angel Martinez to Joshua Chin. That seems to be our 7-car breakaway.
Oh, Anders battling for the race lead. He's going to come down to the inside. Niles Anders, he had a tough season in 16 Strictly League competition. However, he'll work himself down into corner number 3. You got on the outside Miguel Angel Martinez, and Niles Anders will come out of corner number 4. It looks like he is going to lead lap number 15 here in the ISOWC Texas Showdown. It's very close between those two drivers out front. Just 44 1,000ths of a second separating them.
Really close racing out front, but Miguel Angel Martinez has not been able to come back down again. Will he get passed by Martin Miller? Martin Miller still hanging it out there down the inside, and Martinez then comes down to the bottom, so he's now back down into line. As I say, Will, that top 7 there all looking very, very racy at the moment, as we see someone there just come down pit road. Very racy up the front here.
Dave Jinks. Dave Jinks has actually got a car on his inside right now. That's the number 91 car of Tim Miller. Those guys are battling all the way outside the top 30 right now. But it's Niles Anders who's now leading the way. Now McBride brings his car onto pit road, but Anders leads Martinez in second. Miller has fallen back quite dramatically, actually. He's now down into the 6th place on the racetrack.
Yeah, whether this could be a bit of strategy coming in from him, Will, because currently you don't really want to be running out in that front pack on your own, because you're not going to be able to save the most fuel possible. So drivers are going to have to think about that fuel saving strategy, as the next 3 cars actually 7th to should I say 8th to 10th actually are now catching up to this lead pack of the first 7 cars. So we could have a 10-car battle here for the lead in a minute. That is the cars of Michael Dinkle, Matt Kingsbury and Terry Mattinson. Terry Mattinson there just going up the inside of Kingsbury. I don't know what Kingsbury's doing there. He just pulled to the outside. Maybe that could be some strategy coming in from him as well. It could well be. Unless he has a teammate or something behind him waiting to come.
Well, that's Michel De Jong behind him, who's currently scored in the 11th position on the racetrack. In fact, if these guys don't get moving soon, they're going to be caught by the guys behind them. So right now, it is Anders leading Martinez. Then it's Mayer Jr., then Armstrong, then Davis, then Miller, then Chin, then Dinkle, then Mattinson. Now, Mattinson and Dinkle are very close together. In fact, Mattinson's going to look down to the inside of Dinkle. Now, this actually is a bit of a bad call by Mattinson, because if they stay side by side for long, they're not going to catch the pack ahead of them. Dinkle thinks better of it, gets out of the way, allows Mattinson into line. That allows these two to carry on closing up to the guys ahead of them. Now, the gap as they came past the start-finish line was about 0.5 of a second, so they are catching the group ahead of them. just a tiny bit each lap. They've got to be careful though. They lose that draft, those top 7 cars are going to really break away. Single file working together out front, and clean racing for the so far, all the way through the top 20. No real issues, but Nigel Maneath in that 13th position really has been dropped by the top dozen right now.
Yeah, he really is being dropped off by the top dozen, but as you say, looking out front, Will, we got a good charge coming here from the Fast Eddie Racing guys of Ron Meyer Jr. and Michael Armstrong. They're going to be looking to work together to get around these front 2 cars of Niall Anderson and Miguel Angel Martinez. So them 2 are going to be working together to get by, and it'll be very interesting to see what they do. And Ron actually runs wide there. He's going to allow Michael up the inside. I think, yes, he's going to allow him up the inside. But will he be able to tuck in? Because Eric Davis, not being one of the FDR guys, is not going to allow Ron to tuck in. Ron's now going to be left on the outside of that. And that allows Eric Davis up the inside. Martin Miller's not going to be able to make it because Ron... No, he's not. Ron's actually... Yes, he does. He now comes back down into the line. So Ron actually losing out there, allowing his teammate by.
Yeah, but Miller, you see, gets a better run out of corner number 4. That's going to give him a chance to look down to the inside line out of the front straightaway. However, he's not quite close enough to do so. Now, this is one of those things in this race, especially the wind conditions. These guys got to be careful. They brush up. Race controller says they cannot chop off the nose or take an overly defensive line on the straightaways. What this essentially means is that if you get out of line, you really can get freight trained on this racetrack. Cam Stark and Andrew King right now in 15th, 16th position, trying to catch the 2 guys ahead of him, which is Gorg Newjocks and Nigel Maneath, running right now in the 13th and 14th positions on the racetrack.
Yeah, them 2 running very well. They seem to be catching up with the Matt Kingsbury and Andreas Warner pack, and Kingsbury's dropping back through the pack a lot here. Whether he's got some car issues there or whether he's just dropping to the back for some unknown reason is a question we'll have to find out, but he doesn't seem to be on pace with the rest of the drivers. He's left out on the outside again by Andreas Warner. So Warner's just going to go up the inside there into turn number 1, and Kingsbury will drop back now into the 12th position. He's not done very well so far, being he was up into P6 at one point in this race.
Now, let's talk about Martin Miller, what he did a little bit early on. He just dropped to the rear of the pack, and we're having a look at him right now. He's in P7. He's got Joshua Chin just closing in behind him with Terry Mattinson, and caution's out. We've got trouble on the racetrack, and this is out of corner number 4. It's Andrew King in the number 515 car. Let's see what happened to him. And this actually happened all the way down in turn number 3 on the racetrack. He lost the back end of it all by himself. Got loose in corner number 3. Hit the wall. He is out of the race. And this is what we were talking about the in-car tools a little bit earlier on. The fact that, you know, if you get that car a little bit too tight, you're going to go up towards the wall. If you get the car a little bit too loose, well, actually, you're going to spin out.
Yeah, Mike Owen there, though, very lucky as well to avoid that, because as King slid up to the top of the track, that could have took Mike Owen out as well and ended both of their races, but very good avoidance there by Mike Owen to go right round the outside of him. But that brings out our 3rd caution of the race, Will, and we're only on lap number 28. This is caution breeding cautions again, I think.
Got a good green flag running there, however, and this is going to be interesting. Are these guys going to come onto pit road? They are, with the caution laps we've run so far, they've probably used about a third of a tank. Now, I think we're going to get a very big split strategy here. Some guys coming onto pit road, other guys just deciding to stay out. And we had this, actually, in the first ever ISOWC race here at Texas, which I went green for 200 plus laps. Some guys came onto pit roads, other guys didn't, and it really made for a huge split strategy. Now, Texas is known for long green flag runs, and is he going to come onto pit road? The answer is going to be yes, he will. After they get past onto that apron, they cannot then dart back out onto the racetrack. Race control will be keeping an eye on that. Does seem to be that everyone in the top 10, 15 drivers are coming onto pit road. Christian Manson is the first guy to stay out. He's a number 6 car, and it looks like him and Ryan Walker are going to be the only 2 guys. Kyle also doing it, and John Porzik, they are all staying out. Everyone else onto pit road.
Yeah, Dave Jinks also staying out there. Very interesting from them drivers what they're deciding to do, whether they're just going around one more lap and then they're going to drop to the back of the field. And Niles Anders is actually going to make that first run off of pit road. He will gain into that first position again. Michael Armstrong will move up one position into the 2nd place. He will jump Miguel Angel Martinez. Ron will jump Eric Davis as well. Ron Meyer Jr. will move up into the 4th place. Martin Miller will actually move up into 5th as well. Eric Davis all the way down into P6. He lost 2 positions out on that. Terry Mattinson making a very good jump in pit road though, Will. He was in P9. He's now up into P6. Michael Dinkle also making some good pit stop there. Matt Kingsbury also coming from P15 up into P9 position. Some very good jumps there by drivers on pit road.
Also, another interesting thing is that Brandon Trost, I think he was doing something with his in-car tools in the 007 car, just hitting the inside safer barrier as he was working behind the caution. Oh well, what a shame. Moving on. Niles Anders.
We've got to mention Brandon Trost again. You know, we can't not mention Brandon Trost, Will. Someone that goes around with this ego, you know.
Now, let's behave.
We're behaving. But he does go around with an ego, and he does do a lot of things, and, you know, that's karma right there.
Well, yeah, unfortunately, under caution, he decides that he wanted... I think he was just adjusting something in his car, and the car just basically ran along that inside safer barrier. He is classified as out of the race. Another poor result here in the ISOWC IndyCar Series for Brandon Trost. Now, if you missed it a little bit earlier on, we had a great battle in the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series between Kazuki Omishima and... also the driver that we all know and love as Gregor Hutu. Don't forget, that is on our YouTube page. If you haven't had the chance to watch it yet, this is that moment as Kazuki Omishima had a little bit of a mishap with the wall.
To win this race, he can't be making many more of them mistakes, but he is a lot closer now as they come down into turn number 14.
He's got the draft!
A crucial...
He's got the draft!
He's not going to make a move.
No. He's just pushing it.
Far.
Oh, Omishima hits the wall! He hits the wall of champions! Gregor Hutu goes to the race lead with just 3 laps to go in this event. And what a turn of events here as Hutu now leads from Omishima. What a huge moment there for Kazuki Omishima. We're going to replay up on your screen. There we are, Jake.
Well, I think we got a bit excited there, Will.
I think we did.
I don't know if the headset users actually did have any eardrums left out of that, or a headset that worked.
No, for those of you who wanted to know where Hugo Luis came, because of course we did mock his pitting last week. His pit stop actually itself was good. Unfortunately, Brazilian internet got the better of him, so Hugo Luis finished that race in the 17th position. He'll be looking to bounce back at Silverstone in just 1 week's time. Of course, you can catch that here on RaceSpotTV and on iRacing Live. Right to out on the pace car, it's Robert Grosser who now leads in that number 12 Vortex machine. Then Ryan Walker in second, John Porsick in third. First the drivers who pitted is Niles Anders. He lines up in the 4th position there, Jake.
Yeah, very interesting by them 3 drivers to stay out on track. John Porsick, I think, decided to stay out after his little warning he got last time from race control. So I don't think he's very happy at the moment about that little warning for fake pit stops. But Niles Anderson into 4th place. I'm sure he'll make light work of these guys, but maybe we'll get a caution within the next 10-15 laps, so it's not going to really benefit the guys that stayed out in front.
Indeed not. By the way, it's Niles Anders. There we are.
Anders, oh yes, I noticed it's ER now, not RES.
Oops. So, this car going to work its journey down onto pit road once again. Our 3rd caution of the day, score complete with 31 laps in this race. Here comes the pace car, here comes Robert Grosser. Green flag back in the air here at Texas. Slow restart there by Walker. That's going to allow Porsick all over the rear of him. And Anders as well as they come back down into turn number 1. Porsick's going to go down the inside and he'll get that pass complete. And here comes Niles Anders as well. Very close there. The 35 car almost came down on Anders. He had to get right out the gas, that UK and I car of Ryan Walker. And now the freight train begins. And this is one of those things. If you got to be careful if you're a slow car on these restarts, yes, you've got the track position, but actually you can lose a lot more than you gain very quickly.
Yeah, you can lose a lot more as you gain. As someone else finding that out right now is Ron Meyer Jr. He's been left out to hang out to dry as well. And Eric Davison nearly making contact with Ryan Walker. I think Ryan Walker's in the wall.
Yes, he is. He's going to try and bring that car back down towards pit road. We believe he's working down into turn number 3. And that was a very close call. We'll try and get ourselves a replay of that in just 1 moment's time. But Ryan Walker in that number 35 car, just having a look. Did he get himself into the wall? Did he get all the way into the grey? He's very close. He just avoided it there. Good save there by Ryan Walker. However, he's dropped from being P2 to P13 in just 2 laps. Right now, Anders has got himself past Porsick in that battle for the 2nd position. Anders just wants to get going in this race here today.
Yeah, he is one of the ex-Panther Racing online team guys, and he is really trying to push now. He's got past Porsick, as you say, and he's really putting that pedal down as he's got Robert Grosser to catch. He's 4/10 of a second behind Grosser, though, but in the draft, I'm sure that'll be very fine to catch up as Michael Armstrong actually there losing out now to Miguel Angel Martinez, but Armstrong actually holding a really good line around the outside, and he's managed to actually hold that off of the Vortex Racing car. Eric Davis will now be on the back of Martinez. He's going to try and make that pass on the exit of turn number 2. We know that Martinez is not very good on the exit of 2. He sort of pushes up a lot more than the rest of the drivers and gets closer to the wall.
So it's Grosser from Anders and Porzek from Armstrong from Martinez as it is right now, and actually Martinez lifting the centre of 3 and 4 there. Here comes the car now on the outside, looking then down to the inside. That is Eric Davis in the number 65 Banshee Autosport car there. And Davis, these top 3 drivers actually starting to put away a little bit. Porzek's now got himself about 5 car length advantage over Armstrong, and these guys have been reminded not to overly defensive drive. It's Dinkle right now on the team radio. I think he's having a battle side by side. And then I'm 93 there on Joshua Chin. Chin goes down to the inside and he makes that pass happen, and that pass is not quite complete, but almost. He'll get the sweep down into number 1.
Yeah, textbook pass there from Joshua Tien, one of the best guys in the ISOWC series. And looking at this front battles, Will, there is 2 wide racing all the way through. I think Miguel Angel Martinez actually gets it done. Eric Davis there really close into the back of Martinez. I think there was actually contact there, Will. I think Davis has just ran over the back of Martinez. Have to watch that one back.
Yeah, we'll get ourselves a replay of that if we can in just one moment's time. Now, this was down in turn number 3. Actually, Davis was already getting out the gas, but then those guys, Martinez was also out the gas. Those two came together, just having a look in. That is very, very close to being a much bigger incident than what it could have been. However, out front, questions about whether the guys are blocking is already coming up here. This is an interesting one, because Race Control would say they have got to be careful with how they rule this, because they do it too early on. It's going to be interesting to see what the ruling is later on in the race, and Race Control has got a very difficult day ahead of them.
Yeah, they're really gonna have a lot of hassle and a lot of things to make up for us. Just watching Matt Kingsbury now back in that P14 position. He's lost out to Ryan Walker and Nigel Manarth on the racetrack, so he's dropped back 2 positions, and very unfortunate for him as we just see Niall McBride come out of pit road again. He is now 14 laps down on the racetrack. Not a very good race for him in this one, so he's going to be trying to make that back up in next week's race. Looking back out front though, I think Niles Anders, he's been lost out to Porzak.
Oh, these two almost came together here. You notice how Anders actually, he was trying to sweep back in line, almost clipped the right rear there. John Porzak very close on him between those 2 guys. Having a look down outside the top 10, and there is a bit of a gap right now between Ryan Walker, who's got himself back up into 12th, and Michael Dinkle ahead of him, about 5 tenths for a second on the racetrack. And then Nigel Marneath is now caught up to the rear of Walker. But Kingsbury and Cam Stark, those guys have got a bit of separation. And then Andreas Warner right now is in a big battle with Michel De Jong as they come down into turn number 1.
Yeah, really great battle going on back here for the P16 position as Michael de Jong gets that done up the inside of Andreas Warner. And that's going to allow Mike Owen and George Newdox there, and George Newdox goes up the inside of Mike Owen, or Mike Owen's actually trying to go around the outside, should I say.
He's
Owen
may
be able to make that stick. Yeah, he's got a very good run there. Will he be able to cut down? No, he's not got that pass done. Newdox is actually going to be able to hold that into turn number 1. Mike Owen's going to hold it out to the top though. I think he's just going to come down. It's very silly being out there because you're not going to get anywhere, are you, Will?
No, you're not, and that's to see. The power of the outside line works in 3 and 4, but not in 1 and 2. And that's going to be fascinating to see as these laps wind down. Meanwhile, battle for the race lead is Porzak and Grosser, and John Porzak is now your new race leader, our 3rd, 4th different leader of the day. Grosser is held out to dry now on that outside line. He loses a position there to number 14, Fast Daddy Racing car on Michael Armstrong. Also, you've got Miguel Angel Martinez going through that. Makes us run, and Grosser moves up into the wall.
Eric Davis there making it, pushing up really high. He got into Grosser. Grosser's got damage. Grosser nearly connecting Ron Meyer Jr. there. Grosser's round into the wall.
Yeah, caution might come out here. Caution is likely to come out. You see, Grosser's trying to keep it up high. Get all of these cars go past. If you can find a gap to come down now, the caution comes out.
That's
replace up on your screen.
Grosser should have kept going. Grosser should have kept going there. I don't agree with him stopping there up high in the wall. He could have kept that going, but Wow, that all started back in turn number 3 there. Eric Davis got really high. That was Niles Anders trying to come up the inside of both of them drivers, nearly getting 3 wide, and Eric Davis had really nowhere to go but get pushed up into Robert Grosser. Robert Grosser then on the home straight, nearly get collected by Ron Meyer Jr. He did actually get collected by Ron Meyer Jr., so Ron's now going to have damage, and Grosser tried to keep it in the outside wall, and I think he could have continued round there, Will. I don't think there was any need for him to bring the caution out.
Yep. Do you think... Well, you see, the issue was after that second impact, that car was very struggling to kind of stay in a straight line. So in many ways, I think what he's trying to do is find a gap. He couldn't find a gap, and therefore, arguably the race track was the safest place to do so. But for Davis, it's one of those weird things. Was it a racing incident, or was it just the fact that Davis really just came up the racetrack too much when he didn't need to?
I think it was Eric Davis saw the front end of... I think that was Niles Anders, yeah, saw Anders coming up the inside, and Davis thought, oh no, he's going to be up me inside in a minute, I can't go down there. So I think that was sort of a reaction to that, as well as drivers actually coming down pit road now, and Anders actually comes down pit road again, so yeah, he's going to want to get out of the traffic. Martin Miller coming down pit road again as well, and Ron Meyer Jr., Matt Kingsbury as well, Cam Stark, Mike Owen also as well, James McClure coming down pit road, Lucas Lavelle as well. A lot of drivers that pitted on that third caution, Will, also coming down on the fourth caution. So we've got two different strategies going on now. We've got the guys who stayed out like last time, people like John Paulsek. They're coming onto pit road right now. The 36 car just overshot his pit box. I just saw that on my screen. We'll get confirmation of who that is in just one moment's time. But Paulsek is on pit road and off pit road. Niles Anders is off pit road. Ron Meyer Jr. is off pit road, as is Martin Miller. Martin Miller is actually one who overshot there. Cam Stark comes out, as does Kingsbury, and then it's Owen, then McClure, Nagel Kirkin, Lavelle, Augusto, and Miller all coming off of pit road. Very interesting strategies coming out from here, Will. Whether there are a few team strategies going down there, because the last lap motorsports cars, all three of them that were running on the lead lap, Cam Stark, Matt Kingsbury and Mike Owen, all coming down pit road. So whether there's a little team strategy going on from there. It's surprising to see Ron Meyer Jr. come down pit road though. I expected him to stay out with his teammate Michael Armstrong, actually, who now leads the way in this race. So he's made a lot of positions up really on this caution.
Fourth caution of the day, but good racing in that last group. And I think now, with every caution that's happened so far, we get more and more racing. So I think this might be the one where we get a green flag run.
Yeah, well, I was hoping for a green flag run from the start, but I don't think we can always dream about that sort of thing. And 33 minutes into this race, lap number 49, we'll be on lap number 50 probably when we go to the restart of this race. So hopefully we can get some more green flag racing. I think I counted that one as about 15-20 laps of green flag racing.
And the number 65 car going to get himself a black flag there for unnecessary contact. What's your thoughts on that one, Jake?
I don't know. I wouldn't say it was deliberate. I would say it was more of a racing incident, but that's race control's decision, and that will stick. So Eric Davis will get that black flag.
And Michael Armstrong, however, is your leader now in that 14 car. Now, Armstrong's had a good run so far in this race, but so is Martinez. Now, the thing is, Martinez, that car, we talked about it earlier, doesn't seem to like to work in traffic that much. Do you think that Martinez is going to try and get to this race lead as quickly as possible?
If he's sensible, I think he'll sit behind Armstrong, because he's going to then save a bit of fuel, leaving Armstrong out there on his own. So, I don't really know. As drivers are actually complaining about the penalty that's been given out to the 65 car.
Yeah, that one sorted itself out pretty quickly, but Terry Martinson is now going to move up into the third place. Then it's going to be Josh Chin. Then it's going to be Michael Dinkel. Then Nigel Marneve. Then Michel De Jong, Andreas Warner, Gorg Newjox, then Scott Smith. They round out your top 10. Lights are, ladies and gentlemen, off in the pace car. Woohoo!
We'll just have to recorrect ourselves there on that one as well, Will. It weren't a black flag given to Eric Davis. Sorry, it was an EOL penalty. It was corrected by race control.
Which will drop him all the way down into the 29th position on the racetrack. Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget, the ISOWC IndyCar series is powered by iRaceForLife.org. For the partnership with the ISOWC IndyCar series and iRaceForLife.org, $5 going to the winner's charity of choice for each and every race. For more information, head over to iRaceForLife.org. Also brought to you in part by And One Design. the official graphics partner of the ISOWC IndyCar Series. And don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, we have got the ISOWC Pocono 500 coming your way on the 5th of July. That is going to be the biggest event ever held in ISOWC history. Over 500 drivers running for 500 miles. Pace car is now about to turn off a pit road once again. Ladies and gentlemen, going back to green flag racing after full cautions in this event. And this is going to be an interesting one. Michael Armstrong being in the field back to green flag racing as pace car's in. And here we go. Green flag.
Green flag, green flag.
Tintin gets a good jump that time. It is Armstrong who timed that restart really well because Martinez was kind of left in the lurch now. Let's see whether Tintin's close enough. I don't think he is to make a pass, but Joshua Chin, a very slow restart by him.
Yeah, very slow restart from Joshua Chin. You expected a little faster than that. Looking down the field, Niles Anders actually making a very slow start as well. John Polzak managing to get by him. Sorry, actually... No, John Polzak was actually out in front of him already. Polzak actually managed to get around Benjamin Gregory, the lap down car. But Anders really making an interesting decision, Will, to drop back through the field after taking a pit stop again, when I really didn't think that was necessary for him.
Yeah, he's on the same strategy now as John Polzak, so those two potentially can work together. John Polzak and the number 72 Bantiero Sports car, and Niles Anders and the number 99 Panther Offline Racing, as they are now known. Scott Smith there just being passed by Vic Cordell in the battle for the 10th position, and Cordell now is scored in the top 10. Out front, you got a car up high. That is Miguel Angel Martinez, and that is going to allow Joshua Chin down to the inside. Two wide racing through the front straight away. Is Chin going to try and go down to the inside of Tintin? The answer is going to be not quite just yet, but this is where Martinez really struggles. He had it earlier on the outside line, and again he has to get really out of the gas there.
Yeah, really tight on that on the racetrack. He seems to be very tight on the exit of 2 wheel because he's not been able to hold that car down low in the dirty air behind a car. I know it is a little harder when you're right on the back of them like he was, but he should have been able to keep that down. That is a poor setup, that is. And that's one of the, not the Vortex Racing guys, one of the Velociraptor. As yeah, we got an actual battle for the race lead now. Terry Mattinson moves to the inside of Michael Armstrong. Michael Armstrong will be left out and hang out to dry like Miguel Angel Martinez just was. And Joshua Chin is actually going to make a move up the inside as well. So Armstrong's going to drop back a few places here. Will he be able to tuck in? Yes, he will. He'll be able to tuck in just in front of Martinez. So very fortunate for him, because if not, he could have been steam trained by the coming cars of Dinkel, Manif and De Jong.
So Mattinson becomes our 5th different leader in this race, our 5th different lead change here today. Now it is Josh Chin behind Mattinson. Will Chin become our 6th different leader of the day? Lots of blasting for the race lead here in the ISOWC Showdown at Texas, powered by And Wonder Designs. Working ourselves right now on lap number 57 of 250 here. And you see Mattinson running the middle of the racetrack there. That's almost a bit of an Indianapolis line he's running. He knows that he can't block that inside line. However, by going down into the middle of the racetrack, what it means is that guy going to the inside has got to be very careful into turn 3. Very interesting manoeuvre there, and actually a really good call by Mattinson, because actually he's making it difficult for the guy behind him to pass, but actually that time Chin gets all the way out of the gas, almost onto the wall there, and now Armstrong is going to go down to his inside.
Yeah, Armstrong will move to the inside. Chin will be left to hang out to dry though. Michael Dinkel, will he be able to tuck it in front of Michael Dinkel? Yes, he probably will be able to, as Miguel Martinez passes through, and Joshua Chin's just going to tuck in there behind. No, he's not. He's actually going to be left to hung out to dry, and he's going to go right to the back of Michael De Jong. So he's going to go from 2nd all the way back into P7 now. So that's very unfortunate there for Joshua Chin. And looking down the field, we have some brilliant racing going on here between Niles Anders, Ron Mayer Jr., Matt Kingsbury, Martin Miller. They're all there. Kingsbury right on the back of Ron, nearly making contact there. Very close racing between them guys. Ex-teammates, remember, Ron used to be part of the Last Lap Motorsports team, now part of the Fast Daddy Motorsport guys. He is the owner of them. Martin Miller, though, really hanging back, because I think he sees what's going to happen, Will, and I see it happening as well, especially with Kingsbury in there.
Yeah, Kingsbury down to the inside. He's going to get that pass. Not complete there. You see, his car does not work on the inside of corner number 3. That's now going to allow Martin Miller right up behind him as they come off a 4th on the front straight away, and now back down into turn number 1 once again. Let's see if Kingsbury's car handles better here in turn number 1 and 2. It does actually, he doesn't brush up as much. Doesn't get as tight, but will Armstrong be able to go down to the inside? The answer is not quite, not just yet. So they'll stay single file for the time being. Guys out of the race, Dijon Bolger and TM Hauser, Renan Lopez, Timo Isimiemi, Andrew King, Brandon Trace, Niall McBride, and Robin Gross. We've got a car right now on pit road. Get confirmation for that is, and that is, by the look of it, one of the last lap motorsports cars of Niall McBride once again onto pit road.
I don't know why Niall doesn't park that car, Will. He's been down pit road probably 6 times and he's done less laps than anyone else on the racetrack. He's only on lap number 46. Our leaders are now on lap number 62. I don't know why he doesn't just park it.
I think actually what it is the fact that he's done more time on pit road than he's done off of pit road. So no,
I agree with that one.
He comes back out onto the racetrack, and of course you've got to make sure when you come onto the racetrack that you don't do what he's just done. That's going to be a black flag there for Niall McBride coming onto the racetrack before the back straightaway.
Niall McBride will then gain himself a black flag there, so that will see him go down to serve that penalty. Or actually, no, black flag, disqualified from the race, shall we say. So, Niall McBride, our only Irish contingent, will be out of this race now. Looking back to the front, though, Will, Terry Mattinson has now taken the lead back. Or should I say, Terry Mattinson was actually leading anyway, but Michael Armstrong's still sitting in that P2 position. Miguel Angel Martinez sits in P3 still. So that top 3 not really changing, but Michael Dinkel really starting to close in on them now.
Yeah, and Dinkel right now is scored about 0.4 of a second behind. He's bringing Michel De Jong with him as well as Nigel Marneve. Those guys continue their battle around the racetrack and very close from the top 5. As here comes Niall McBride to serve his pit lane violation. So he actually doesn't get another violation for coming off the racetrack too late. So again, more time being spent on pit road by Niall McBride in that 41 car.
Yeah, unfortunate for Niall. Will he park it this time? Will he take my advice? Nope. He's gonna hang the car in there still and come back out on track.
There we are.
Only Irish contingent in this event as well, Will. So you gotta give him some credit for racing. But looking back to the field though, Joshua Chin seems to have dropped off the back of that P6 car of Nigel Marneve. So Joshua Chin seems to be struggling a bit now. Michael De Jong actually up the inside of Marneve. He's going to try and make that move up the inside of Michael Dinkel. He's not going to be able to make that work. But if Dinkel keeps leaving that gap open there, then I think Michael De Jong's actually going to take the advantage with it once.
Yeah, and I think that for Joshua Chin right now is get yourself into a bit of fuel saving mode for the time being. Now, a lot of these guys aren't too worried about positions right now. And the reason for that is they want to see how their car works in lots of traffic, when they got one car in front of them, when they got cars behind them. A lot of this is exploratory. Now, I'm actually thinking about Chin as well. I think he wanted to try and lead a lap to get the bonus point for leading a lap. However, as soon as he didn't do that, I think for him it was probably better, he thought, to drop back, save some fuel and think about the long game, because let's not forget, we still got over 170 laps of racing to go, as on the outside Armstrong just picked his car a little bit. Potentially he's just trying to get himself a little bit of clean air down into corner number 3, but Armstrong does look good on that high side.
Yeah, Armstrong really does look very, very good on that high side, as we just get word that Dave Jinks is now making his way down pit road. He does it the proper way, as the ISOWC rulebook states. You have to enter on the back straight away. Whether he'll take the pit exit the same, we'll have to find out. But looking back to the front though, Will, really great racing again. And Terry Mattinson, he's been out front at the moment. He's going to have to switch soon with someone, because he sits out there for that long and he's not going to be able to have enough fuel, as the rest of the drivers are all sitting in that fuel save mode.
So, Pattinson leads from Armstrong, then Martinez, then Dinkel, then De Jong, then Marneve, Chin, Warner, Nugox, then Cordell. And caution is out.
That's
now,
Matt Kingsbury.
Oh,
that's a big one.
This is down the back straight away.
One,
John Porzik's involved in that one, as well as Ron Mayer Jr. and Kingsbury. Did the two former teammates get together? No, actually, it was John Porzik. This all started. We'll get the replay up in a moment. John Porzik was the guy who started it. He was running in the middle of the racetrack, trying to avoid his own teammate. They all came together because Vic Cordell was running on the outside line. I think he just caught the wall. And then it's actually Mayer Jr. who ran over the rear of John Porzik. And then Kingsbury's involved in that. We've got 4 guys all kind of in the action there. Everything's bigger in Texas, including the wrecks there.
Wow, John Porzak went flying, literally. I think he needed flying lessons and a parachute to land that one, Will. He went for for a few spins. So, but looking back at that one, it did definitely look like Vic Cardell's fault. He was outside in the wall, and you know, he came back down onto the racetrack, and as he came back down, that left, John Polzak made that decision to come down onto the track, and that's where he got collected by Ron Meyer Jr. And you know, this is something that Kingsbury never does, Will, and that's check up when there's an incident in front of them.
Right, pit road is open. Most of the cars coming onto pit road. Let's see who decides to stay out this time by. Most of the lead lap cars coming in. Scott Smith stays out. Andres Warner, they're all coming onto pit road right now. Noah McBride is back onto the racetrack, ladies and gentlemen, so there's a good one. Even if he's under caution, he is currently working himself on the racetrack. He stays out as well, going to try and get one of his multiple laps back. And Scott Smith is going to be classified as your race leader, actually, when we bring the field back to green flag racing. Except for Benjamin Gregory. He's scored 3 laps down right now. He's just trying to get a lap back, but as they come out of pit road, very, very close. And actually, it was Michael Armstrong who won that road of pit road, but behind him, there were 3 wide coming out of pit road between Martinez, Martinson, and I believe that was Michael Dinkel as well. So you got yourself a Team Velociraptor car, Banshee Autosports car, and a Vortex Sim Racing car. Pretty much 3 wide coming out of pit road. Martinson wins that one by pretty much nothing, Jake.
Yeah, he really did win that by literally nothing. I think that was a hair's width there, Will, that he won that race off of pit road. So that's a very good thing for him to do. And you know, looking at this field, it's really started to shake a few drivers up now for the people that didn't pit. You know, you've got the Scott Smith out in front, and Noah McBride's actually coming down pit road again, by the way, Will. That's just we're gonna have to do a Noah McBride update, you know, like the empty box update, I think, in this one.
Yep, but we are going to step aside for just one moment and show you a quick ad break. We'll be right back for more action here from the ISOWC IndyCar Series from Texas. Bub.
Simulated racing can be awesome, but it can also be kind of a free-for-all. Interestingly, auto racing faced the same problem in its earlier days. Whether it was on the back roads, the beaches, or the city streets, the racing was fun. But there was always a certain level of chaos and danger, until some folks came along and put some order to all of this. Stuff like official racetracks, regulations about weight and equipment, and enforcement of standards. That's what gave us high-speed excitement, fast-paced action, and photo finishes. That's when racing became racing. The guys over at iRacing.com have made the same transformation in the world of sim racing. Sure, they've got the most accurate tracks and realistic cars out there, but that's just the start. See, iRacing analyzes the performance and results of each driver in every race, so you can be sure you're always placed in races where the competition will be tight, and that those reckless drivers who ruin it for us all are kept in the pits. Not to mention that with over 45,000 active members already in their vast community, you can find races day and night, so you can always get in on the action. You can even join a league of your favorite series, and since updates are always automatic, you don't have to worry about software and can focus on the track. Zip up your fire suit and check out iRacing.com.
Well then, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the ISOWC Showdown in Texas, powered by And Warner Designs. Lap number 75 here of 250. It is now Scott Smith who is leading the way in this event. Couple of cautions early on there. Biggest one of them was the last one. We had Ron Meyer Jr. Mac pace car. This split strategy is going to be fascinating to watch.
Yeah, it really is going to be a fascinating strategy to watch, Will. I don't know really what strategy they are sort of running, and you know, it's going to be interesting to see how this race plays out for the rest of the drivers, because we've still got over 150 laps left to run. So it's going to be very interesting to see what drivers are going to be able to do and what strategies drivers are going to take. Remember, these cars last for about 50 to 60 laps on fuel, so only 2, maybe 3 more pit stops remaining.
So then, pace car working itself right now on corner number 3. It is Scott Smith, who's classified as your race leader. We're getting set to go back to green flag racing here at the Texas Motor Speedway. Track temperature 84 degrees, southerly wind 5 miles an hour, relative humidity is 78%. Pace car comes in, green flag back in the air here at Texas.
Green flag, green flag.
Good restart there by Scott Smith. In fact, Armstrong's got a car. That's Ryan Walker 3. Let's not remember. what happened to Ryan the last time he was in this situation. He got hang out to dry. Now let's see if we do any better this time, Jay, because he's scored a lap down, trying to get himself back onto essentially the lead. Well, 1 lap down, because he scored 2 laps down for the time being.
Yeah, he'll be trying to get that lap back of his, and you know, it's not always the easiest thing to do in an IndyCar to get your laps back, because we don't have the lucky dog in this one. But looking through the field, Niles Anders trying to make a move there out the inside of Andreas Warner. Warner's not going to leave enough room though, so this is very close there from Cam Stark, nearly running over the back of Anders there. Anders, I'm just going to give up.
Anders?
Anders.
There we are. You know, he's part of the club that a couple of us are part of. I'm not allowed to actually say the full name of it, but it is the Elitist Pretentious Beep Club here on iRacing. Niles and I go back a long way, met each other at Indianapolis for the first time after 4 years of racing together, and this is actually one of his first races here in a long while in the Delara 05 car. Actually, the first race that these guys ran as Panther Online Racing was at this racetrack, and they had a great synchronized spinning moment that I'm sure Andy's going to be really upset for me bringing up. But as they came back to the green flag, all 4 of the Panther Online Racing guys synchronizing spinning on the last restart of the day is a great thing to see there. But Anders right now doing his first race with Panther offline here, and he's just being passed, almost contact there, the 09 car, Mike Owen through turn number 3.
Yeah, he also nearly made contact with the 24 car of Cam Stark as well as he... Oh, he's contact! Oh, George Norjux! Oh, it's all gone wrong. It's all gone wrong there. Yellow's not out though. We're still green flag racing conditions. Eric Davis also getting involved. Now he comes on the track and he takes everyone out. Eric Davis. Oh, this is the big one. This is not what we wanted to see. Eric Davis. What was he doing? He's just taking the rest of the field out.
No. What I think happened there was Davis, of course, got that damage, and the same way that we were trying to say earlier about how it was some way wrong to have the car of Robert Grosser stay on the racetrack. For Eric Davis, it would have been better to just park that car along the wall, because you had Vic Cordell, his own teammate, taken out. You had Tim Miller involved in that one. And you also had Christian Manson for Vortex Sim Racing involved in that. You had about 5 cars involved in that. The big wreck of the day. And that has taken about 6 cars out of this race. But this all started with Niles Anders and Eric Davis working themselves out of corner number 4 on the front straightaway. And that first part of the contact, you have to say, was all Anders' fault. Just pinching a little bit too low into onto that front straightaway.
Yeah, Niles Anders really getting away with that there, because in my opinion he should have been the one there that pays for that, and race control will have to have a look at that and see what he's going to get and what penalty he will be awarded, because he did cause that. He pinched down to the inside, and you know, when you pinch George Newdrox down to the inside and leave him nowhere to go, you know you're always going to cause a big wreck. And that's coming out there. Niles Anders actually getting an EOL. So he will drop to the end of the field after he goes down pit road and maybe gets that car fixed. But to me, Will, it looks like he's got wheel damage and suspension damage, so it could be an end of his race.
Yeah, he's got some wing damage definitely to his front. We'll get ourselves another replay of that in just one moment's time. But that was a wreck of about 3 different parts, and it all started down on the exit of turn number 4. And Anders, I think he thought he was clear there of Gorg Newjox, and it actually wasn't Eric Davis, it was Gorg Newjox. I think he thought he was clear there of Newjox. The two came together, and then that's what's been Newjox around there. Interesting.
Yeah, very interesting, but it all happened from a guy that didn't want to give and take, you know. He weren't clear, he didn't look in his mirror, and he didn't get the spotter's confirmation saying that he was clear. So it's a silly thing to do, and it's ended a lot of people's race, and in my opinion, Will, he's got away with that one very, very luckily.
So then, Armstrong leads from Martinez, and actually we've got to give you an update. Niles Anders is out of the race by the look of it.
I think that was a little bit of rage there for getting his penalty. Whether he didn't get the damage fixed, because he did come back out on track, so...
Interesting.
I don't think he's the happiest of chappy after getting that EOL penalty, or the deliberate contact, but it's obviously something that does happen in the racing, and, you know, you have to take your penalty on... Take it on the chin and, you know, get on with it.
18 cars still scored on the lead lap. Big attrition in that race there.
Yeah, a big bit of nutrition there. So, well, what can we do? It is racing, Will. You know, we're at a high-speed track, and it was a very close racing incident. But I do think, at the end of the day, you shouldn't pinch like that, because George Newjocks was on the inside, weren't he?
Interesting one so far. Armstrong does still lead, however. He's led, I think, the most laps so far in this event today.
Yeah, I think he has, actually, yeah. Unless, actually, Terry Matinson's actually quite close to him. We'll have to have a look at that one at the end of the race. But I think Terry Matinson and Michael Armstrong are really close at the moment for the laps led, because Terry Matinson had that whole big green flag stint out in front of us. We actually did just get word of how many laps they had led.
Yep, 14 has led 11 laps so far, so not led the most laps so far in this event. However, of course, a lot of these laps have been under caution. But this field really has shrunk down. The number 8 car, Terry Matinson, has led 18 laps in this event. And the number 25 car, Miguel Angel Martinez, has led 14 laps so far. Number 99 car has led a total of 14 laps so far as well. So a lot of different leaders. It's going to be interesting, though, to see what happens as the lights are off in the pace car when we go back to green flag racing.
Yeah, drivers will make their way into turn number 1. Single file restarts obviously here in the IndyCar ISOWC. And no lucky dogs, because this is IndyCar and we do it the professional way. But very interesting to see how drivers are progressing through the field. We look at Cam Stark and Mike Owen, the Last Lap Motorsports teammates, the ones that have not been on pit road all the time like Niall McBride. Out in 9th and 10th position. They've made some good leaps back down from the 18th and 16th position, so they're making up some really good spots on the racetrack. James McClure, a really good recovery from that early incident in the race, and also a really good drive from him. He started back in the P28 position, now up into the P12 on the racetrack, so a very good progression move from him. But it's all happening out at the front at the moment, Will, and we've just lost a lot of contenders in this one.
But we still have a lot of racing to go, and now with 17 cars scored in the lead lap, it's going to. And I have to say as well, some of these guys scored a lap down. They're hoping potentially that we could get ourselves a green flag run to get themselves back into contention. So lights are off, green flag back in the air. Slow
Really
start
good
there by Martinez.
Really good start though from Michael Armstrong. Really great start. He's got a big gap there already. I'd say that's about a 5/10, maybe 6/10 of a second lead at the moment. Looking at Terry Matinson, looking very racy as well after that recent pit stop. He's going to want to get past Miguel Angel Martinez, and he's going to want to push for that lead again, because he was leading the most laps of this race so far.
Yeah, Matinson right now working on Martinez in that battle for the second position. Behind them, Dinkel. Behind them is Marneef. Let's have a look towards the rear of this train, because you've got Scott Smith being hung out to dry right now, being passed by Nagel Kirkin and Renato Augusto. Haven't talked about Augusto much in this race. Oh, another one of those drivers from the iRacing Brazil IndyCar Series, making that transition to the ISOWC IndyCar Series, as those guys are on their off-season. But very close between Benjamin Gregory right now and Jim McClure in the battle for what is 11th place on the racetrack right now. Of course, Gregory has scored multiple laps down, but no blue flag rules in the ISOWC IndyCar Series. If you can make it clean, you can make it happen.
Yep, and that's what we want to see, is clean racing, not all these wrecks and cautions. I think we counted 6 cautions now, as James McClure actually gets a little looser. I think I saw some smoke pop up on my screen, so whether that's just me having a technical issue, but I'm sure he got a little loose on the exit there, because Benjamin Gregory had to check up a tiny bit as he's trying to look to the inside of him on the exit of turn number 2. He'll look to the inside on the back straight into turn number 3. Not going to be able to make it up the inside there, but Jim McClure actually runs a little wide, so if only Gregory could have held it down there, well, he could have made that pass, and that could have been one more spot to going back onto the lead lap.
Battle for the race lead, however, between Martinez and Armstrong, and here comes Martinez, and he has got that race lead done for Michael Armstrong, and here comes Terry Matinson as well, down to the inside, and he's going to pass Michael Armstrong. That is what we're going to see throughout this race. As the race lead changes, you're going to go back to P2, you're probably going to go back to P3, or if you're not lucky, even P4.
Yeah, you really are going to drop a long way down this field, and Michael Armstrong there being very fortunate. We saw earlier on in the race, Miguel Angel Martinez dropped all the way back to P7 as we look to the inside there. Terry Matinson, what a textbook pass. He got a brilliant run there on the exit of turn number 2, and he looked to the inside and no hesitation there, but Miguel Angel Martinez is going to hold it out around the outside, down across the home straight. Who will lead this lap? I think it will be Matinson. Matinson will lead lap 31 of this race, yeah, by 13 1,000ths of the track. And
you want to say that properly? 13 1,000ths of a second, dear. 13 1,000ths of a second. Not 13 1,000ths of the track. That means nothing. Meanwhile, you have got on the outside still is Martinez. That car's working a lot better on the outside line now compared to how it was earlier. They pretty much run an entire lap side by side with Armstrong, and actually was ahead that time. That sweep down to turn number 1. Will he be able to tuck into line? I think that Dinkel's just getting out the gas to allow him to do so, and here he comes back into line, and that is Armstrong. So now comes to second, Martinez down into the third spot. Dinkel has got Nigel Marneef right behind him. Joshua Chin is keeping a very safe distance away from these drivers for the time being, though.
Yeah, he really is staying a long way back. Whether he knows something we don't know, and what's going to happen in front is maybe he's a mind reader, Joshua Chin, but he's really sitting far back from them because he's got the pace to run right on the back of Marneef and the rest of that pack. So I don't know why he's not doing it. Whether he thinks they are prone to wrecking, and they could have a wreck in a minute, as we actually see there Michael Dinkel losing out to Nigel Marneef, and Nigel Marneef trying to go up the inside there of Miguel Angel Martinez, but Martinez just closing the door on him on the home straight. So Marneef actually moves up past Dinkel, so that is him into the 4th position. Dinkel will be at the back of the pack now, and this is some incredible racing. Miguel Angel Martinez looks to the inside of Armstrong again. They just can't get it done though, Will, can they? There's not enough room on this racetrack to get it done and hold it down low.
Yeah, Joshua Chin has caught up to these guys. It'll be interesting to see whether he can actually get that job done and actually come his way through to the front. Now, he was running as high as second in this race earlier on before he fell back and started fuel saving. And I think some of these drivers might consider that again, as we've got less cars now scored on the lead lap, just 16 cars scored on the lead lap. And in fact, we've only got 18 cars classified as running on the racetrack. Latest victim has been Andres Warner, who had some technical issues. He is now classified, for the time being, as out of the race in the 08 car. Having a little bit of Hugo Louise luck for him right now.
Yeah, he's not having that English connection, shall we say. He's having the Brazilian connection. But back to the racing now, Will, and there's drivers up front trying to make that move up the inside. But as I said earlier, there's not enough room for drivers to get it done, and they can't be pinched to the bottom, because you pinch to the bottom and that's when the incidents really do start to happen and the wrecks start folding out of the drivers. So very interesting to see what they'll do now, as we have about an 8-car pack for the lead. It's all the way down to that 7th driver of Michael de Jong right at the back there. Then we have the lapped car of Ryan Walker. Then we have the cars of Cam Stark and Mike Owen, who just happily sit right at the back and near the back of the top 10.
Lap number 98 of 250 here at Texas Motor Speedway. Chin now all over the rear of Michael Dinkel, and you see that these guys are starting to run that middle lane a lot more. They have got to be careful that they don't start defensive driving, especially actually if you're running in the middle of a pack, because a move that can be construed as actually trying to go through a gap can at the same time be construed as almost overly defensive driving.
Yeah, it can be classed as over defensively driving if you go for a move and then back out of it and block the guy behind you. So very interesting to see, as there we actually do just see that there from Miguel Angel Martinez. Nigel Marneef actually moved to the inside, and Martinez actually went down with him as well, and he sort of blocked him, I think, there. That I would say that was a block, but race control will have to have their own opinion on that, as we actually see Martinez now pass Michael Armstrong. Nigel Marneef will follow through as well. Armstrong will be able to tuck back in that P4 position, so we'll have to get the wording from race control to see what they say about that one.
Yeah, it's actually really close, because I think that Martinez was trying to set himself up to make a pass, which he then did on Michael Armstrong. We'll get word from Marneef, see if he has any issues with it as well after this race. 100 laps now in the book, only 150 laps to go. 300 miles, so we're getting closer and closer to half a race distance here in the ISOWC Showdown at Texas, and I'm still really impressed with the line that Matinson's running. He's leaving a lane open. He's done it pretty much all race long, but he hasn't, yet had any driver really try and stick it down that inside, and I think Martinez now is thinking about that fuel strategy.
Yeah, Martinez, I think now is really starting to say, I'm not going to move to the front, I want to sit behind and save some fuel, and That would be the better idea for him to do, really, Will, because, you know, you can't really, as we actually see Nigel Manaf actually go up the inside of Martinez, and Martinez is actually going to be able to drop in behind. But the guy making a move at the moment is Michael de Jong. He's now up the inside of Michael Armstrong. He will move through into that P4 position. What a drive from Michael de Jong. Really great driving from him. He's actually been able to jump Michael Dingle and Armstrong in just one lap, Will. Incredible.
Incredible indeed, and you see actually Manif was considering going into the high side there of Martinson and then ducks down low. He had to get out of the gas a little bit. Nigel Michael Kaken is complaining about Scott Smith, I think, there. This number 30 car. I think he clipped the apron, then came up the racetrack, and then Michael Kirkin's complaining that actually he had to get out of the gas because of the fact that Scott Smith then blocked his line. That's an interesting one.
Yeah, I think Scott Smith there will be picking up a penalty. Scott Smith is tend to block a lot sometimes in the normal series, and he's really a pest to get past sometimes when you want to pass him. So I think there'll be a ruling coming from race control on that one as well in the next 5 minutes or so, as drivers now make their way onto lap number 105, and it's all going on out in front. Nigel Manaf is actually trying to go around the outside of Terry Martinson. Terry Martinson is not going to have that. He is going to want to hold that inside line, and Manif actually looks like he's got the car to go around the outside of him, Will.
He really does. He's been trying to set up that pass, and as you said earlier, turn 1 and 2 is where you get the disadvantage. You can see he's falling back into line now, but if we can try and get to the outside on the straightaway and then through turn 3 and 4, we'd have the opportunity to lead at the line. And this is something that Manif from that Magnus car we're trying to think about towards the end of this event. Can he do that dart on the outside, stay side by side, and then lead at the line if he's in that position? 106 laps now scored in the books, and ladies and gentlemen, Niall McBride has made another pit stop.
And that was coming. Brilliant one, Will. Brilliant. I didn't actually know what was coming until I looked at Niall McBride and saw he's now 29 laps down. That is more laps down than what Eric Davids, Vic Cardell, and drivers that are not in this race anymore. He's actually further down. But if he keeps going, Will, he's only got to do another 6 more laps, and he'll be in that P19 position where Andreas Warner currently sits.
Perseverance for these drivers, some of them just trying to gain positions. I think with the issue with McBride is I think he's using his tyres up quite a lot. He had a little bit of damage earlier on to that last lap Motorsports number 41 car. Let's see what's happening with Manif, because this is the closest he's been, and again he's looking to the high side. I think actually what he's trying to do is not to slow the guys behind him, but get some clean air on the front of his wing to make his apex into turn 3 better, because he's not really pushing that car too much. And although he's got Miguel Angel Martinez behind him, I think that actually Manif's playing a very strategic game right now. He did have to slow down quite a lot there out of turn number 1, so now Martinez is going to be a lot closer to him. Will Manif take the opportunity to go down to the inside? No, he won't.
This is some great racing, Will. Just watching from the front of Terry Martinson there, when they come down the back straightaway, you can just see 6 or 7 cars there, all sitting in line and trying to make a move. They pull to the inside, they pull to the outside. You know, it makes a brilliant spectacle for the cameras and for you guys to actually watch and see. As we'll see it here again now as they come down the back straight. If we can get this brilliant camera angle, look at that, Will. Inside, outside, you know, it's some great racing, and it is great to see these drivers giving it a all to try and get into the lead.
Mikel de Jong is looking down to the inside of Miguel Angel Martinez for 3rd position. Martinez comes across him a little bit there. That was very close from those drivers. However, Martinez was clear to come down on that front straightaway. Mikel de Jong is still running in that 4th position. Behind him, you've got Michael Dinkel as well. Almost 2 wide, 2 deep there in the battle for the top 4 positions. Dinkel's out of it a little bit. Armstrong's out of it. And again, you've got Joshua Chin. He's dropped down to the rear of that pack.
Chin is playing a very strategical game here, Will. I would like to know what sort of strategy he is on, because is he trying to go to the rest of the race with no fuel, or is he trying to only make 1 more pit stop? Because I know these guys make it to the end.
These guys are going to have to do, I think by my watch, at least 2 more pit stops. However, it's the timing of it which is going to be critical, especially if we go green to the end. These guys are going to be right on it as they come to the end of this race, and I think already Joshua Chin has got that one in mind. Now, pitting rules one more time. These guys have got to leave the track on the back straight away and then re-merge onto the track on the back straight away. In fact, we've got a car doing that right now on the racetrack. Please tell me it's not Niall McBride.
It is Niall McBride.
Noah McBride coming onto pit road, ladies and gentlemen.
But Noah McBride is now in that P20 position. He has made up 3 places in the last lap, Will.
He has, indeed. And now he's on pit road once again. Matinson continues to lead right now from Nigel Marneef. We've got ourselves 16 guys scored on the lead lap. The last one of them is Martin Nagel-Kirkin. Now, Nagel-Kirkin was very upset with Scott Smith's actions earlier on in this event. He hasn't yet tried to repass him yet, but Race Control apparently keeping a bit of an eye on this battle to make sure that these guys aren't blocking each other or being too aggressive in trying to make a pass.
Yeah, you don't want to be too aggressive because not only can that ruin your race, but it can also ruin the other driver's race. And I'm not sure that Martin Nagel-Kirkin will mind about that, as he's very frustrated after the words I heard him say over the chat to Scott Smith. He did accuse him of a few things. So he looks to the outside though into turn number 1, not going to be able to make that pass there. So he's going to sit in behind, but I think Nagel-Kirkin knows that he's got no one else to work with. They're right at the back of the pack and 13 seconds off from the leaders, Will, and there's nothing he can really do because he can't run on his own and afford to do that because he's just going to have no one to draft with, and he's just going to go back and back and back and back because he's trying to make the move though a lot.
He really is. It just seems to be that dirty air really is affecting him. And he gets that run. He goes a little bit high in turn number 1 to then get the draft all the way down the back straightaway. This is about as close as he's been. Will he try and look down to the inside? The answer is going to be no, he won't. You see, he's running all the way up high there in turn number 3 and 4. Now, that's a weird line to take. I think that he almost forgot to turn there.
Yeah, he did almost forget to turn, I think, and that's not always the best thing to do, and he's running high again. I don't know whether he's trying to save fuel, but running the high line is not going to really save you anything. It's going to make you burn a bit more, and he's sort of backed off the back of Scott now, so whether he was a bit cautious about what Scott was doing, I don't know. But looking back to the front of the field, and Nigel Marneef is still all over the back of Terry Matinson, looking to the inside, looking to the outside again. He's just trying to pressure Matinson into a mistake, and if he can do that, then that's the opportunity that Nigel Marneef will need, and that's when he will pounce and make that move. And here we go again. He looks to the inside, Will. Always on the exit of turn number 4. He'll always look to that inside if he can.
And the gap between those two drivers last time by, it was 81/1000th of a second. Marneef again on the outside. This time he's a lot closer, doesn't quite look to the inside. But actually, if you take a bit of a higher apex into these corners, you can get a better run for the centre of it. Then not to lift out the gas, and you can then time your move in the exit of turn 4 a lot better. Marneef this time by, kept between those drivers, well, it's about exactly the same, 88/1000th of a second. Very close racing between these drivers, as we're now on lap 122 of 250. So almost 300 kilometers in the books here in the ISOWC Showdown at Texas, powered by And Warner Designs. Green flag filter all of a sudden.
Yeah, really nice to see a green flag run. It was just a shame that we couldn't see it with a bit more cars on the racetrack, but as we say that, Miles Anders has actually just reconnected. Whether he had a connection trouble or something, is he going to rejoin the race and be a Noah McBride and come down pit road quite a bit? But looking back out front, well, incredible racing out front. You know, you can't take anything away from these top 7 drivers, all running very, very close. And be interesting to see if Martin Miller can actually get onto the back of Joshua Chin. They are not 2 seconds behind, sorry, they are actually 2 seconds behind the leader, but only about 1.5 seconds back off of Joshua Chin. So it'll be interesting to see if he can drag Cam Stark, Lucas Laville and Mike Owen forward.
One driver who's in no man's land right now is Jim McClure in the number 9 Panther Offline racing car. The effing hippie, as he's known. The effing hippie, shall I say. He's kind of running a bit by himself, just trying to keep his car clean. He's got about a 1 second gap to Mike Owen ahead of him. He's also got Renato Augusto about 6 of a second further back. And ladies and gentlemen, don't forget that the day before the 2014 ISOWC Indianapolis 500, join us here on RaceSpotTV and iRacing Live for the ISOWC versus iRacing Brazil versus the 16th Street Racing League All-Star Invitational Race. Join myself, Will Vincent, along with Jake Cameron and Aaron Likens, Paul Jenkins, and also the Brazilian gang. And that will be on Saturday, the 19th of July 2014, the day before the 4th annual ISOWC Indianapolis 500 to be here, of course, exclusively on RaceSpotTV. The ISOWC Indy 500, of course, going to bring all the stops out for that, but after the difficulties of the Memorial Day race, going to be the first time we actually see a really competitive Indianapolis 500 here on iRacing.
Yeah, it will be, and ISOWC will probably be the best of the Indy 500s you will ever see anyway. It always has been and it always will be the best, even against the official iRacing series. Because you have all the top names in the IndyCar series, you don't just have the one drivers that want to just do the Indy 500 because it is a important race in the calendar. You will have the regulars from each week in the IndyCar official series. So that's why I always say it is the best series, because you also have that team rivalry in there as well, Will, don't you? You have the likes of Last Lap Motorsports, Broken Arrow, Banshee Aero X, you know, you also have that Panther Racing Offline, and Velociraptor, you know, you have that team action in there, and, you know, currently on the racetrack we see some more team action, and Broken Arrow currently lead the way.
And don't forget as well, we'll be bringing you coverage of the Fast 9 shootout and also the last hour of Bump Day as well. The most realistic sim racing series in the world. The ISOWC IndyCar series with the most realistic Indy 500 preparation. Join us for Pole Day and Bump Day. That'll be, of course, here on RaceSpotTV as well. Over 25 hours of qualifying for these drivers to deal with. One of the most nerve-wracking experiences they will ever have. Terry Matinson actually last time had a very difficult Indy 500 qualifying. Finally got himself into the field. But Niall McBride, ladies and gentlemen, is out of the race.
Niall, what is he doing? All them pit stops he made. No point for him now. I think he's happy now he's in 19th position. He's got some points. I think he is happy about that. And, you know, he's scoring points, Will. It's the main thing, isn't it?
It is indeed, and for these drivers, of course, they've got to make sure to get themselves into the ISOWC versus iRacing Brazil versus 16th Street Racing League All-Star Race. They've got to be in the top 15 in points in the ISOWC to gain eligibility for that. Just thinking, these guys last pitted on lap number 84, so they are now 50 laps into a window. We expect to see these guys on pit road in the next 5 to 7 laps or so. For Terry Matinson, he's led this entire way. He's probably going to come onto pit road about a lap early than all these guys, and in some ways that's an advantage because he's going to have a clear pit entry. He doesn't have to worry about the guys ahead of him slowing him down, but at the same time, lapping the draft here is worth an absolute ton.
Yeah, he is really going to have to hit and lap earlier because of that. Running out front on your own, you know, you do use more fuel than what the rest of the cars do, and there we go, we have called Terry Matinson will come down pit road, this time by lap 135. Cam Stark also will come down, Mike Owen will come down, Benjamin Gregory, Jim McClure will also come down. Everyone, I think, is going to come down pit road this time, but maybe not the top 10. Here we go, there we go. Terry
So the
Matinson,
guy's coming... Go on. No, you go. I'll go. Terry Matinson bringing his car onto pit road from the race lead. That's going to hand the race lead over to Nigel Marneef. He's likely to come onto pit road next time by. Indeed, he will. Pit road speed here, 45 miles an hour. Terry Matinson is down onto pit road. Lucas Aville tossing up a bit of a cone there, but he did a great pit entry. And he is now... He actually gained about a second and a half over Terry Matinson. He's very sluggish on his pit stop, but he overshoots his pit stall.
Contact!
Oh, this is going to be a big moment now. Contact on the racetrack. And that was Michael Armstrong.
Oh, wow. Very poor racing there from Michael Armstrong. He couldn't slow that car down. He just couldn't slow that car down. And wow, that's why you don't go too wide into pit road. Nigel Marneef actually left it very loose, very late there as well to slow down. He nearly went back onto the racetrack. Michael Armstrong, very silly of him. I don't think them drivers are going to have too much damage though. I think they'll be able to get their cars back out on track and back going again. Just checking over now, and it seems as in, yeah, they do have a okay-ish race car, but well, this is going to make some big changes to this race. Cam Stark is now classed as a lap down, and Jim McClure is also classed as a lap down, and they'll be locked a lap down unless people go down pit road.
I tell you what, Martinez very, very close to falling into another car as he came back down the racetrack. That was actually Renato Augusto. Mighty close with these drivers. But yeah, this has really shaped up this race. And Nigel Maneef is out of fuel. He's coasting it down to pit road. This is an interesting one because they can't pass him until they get past that commit cone. So Nigel Maneef is trying to bring himself onto pit road. You see, he's already allowing the cars to go past. But that is going to give an absolutely huge advantage now to a couple of those guys who have scored. Martin Miller and Joshua Chin, they've just got themselves an eon ahead. Mike Owen, Terry Mattinson, and Benjamin Gregory, they are behind the pace car. Jim McClure, by the look of it, is going to be... they're all going to... No, they're going to get the wave around. They will get the wave around. Just having a look. It is Benjamin Gregory, then Terry Mattinson, then Michael Owen, then Jim McClure. They're all going to get the wave around, as is Cam Stark and Lucas LaVille, because all of those guys ahead of him have pitted.
Wow, that really did shake that up there. That put a lot of drivers a lap down. So very interesting to see that caution come out. Really, it was very silly racing there from Michael Armstrong. He should have been a little better there onto pit road, Will. But race control are going to have a look into that, so I've just heard.
So, cars on pit road, some of them are off of pit road, and the guys came down onto pit road. Actually, I think that Armstrong, he was ahead of Mattinson at the point that he came onto pit road.
So... has Mattinson now been in the OL?
Mattinson was actually just running slowly on the racetrack, I think trying to save some fuel. And the number 10 and the number 4, the 069 car and the number 10 car and the 14 car, they all got a penalty for that. That's an interesting one.
Very interesting one now, as drivers are now told to go around and unlap themselves, but they don't. Benjamin Gregory doesn't seem to be doing that. He seems to be sitting behind on the scoreboard. It has now put them into 1 minute 27 behind instead of a lap down. So I don't know if they're going to actually drive around, are they, or are they just going to sit there? It looks like race control told them.
The lights are still on top of the pace car. Lights are still on top of the pace car. So they'll do it the next time they come past the stripe.
They do it next time by then. It's still 2 to green, so I thought it was they've put it on the race chart, so it was not a lap down anymore, so that just confused me there. So next time by, the drivers of Terry Mattinson, Mike Owen, James McClure and Cam Stark, Lucas Lavelle and Benjamin Gregory, who is 5 laps down, they will all go round past the pace car, and then our leader will be Martin Miller. From Joshua Chin, Michael Armstrong, Michael Dinkle, Ronaldo Augusto, Miguel Angel Martinez, Carl also, Nigel Maneef, Scott W. Smith, and Martin Nigel Kirkin. Sorry, Will, I just stole your bit.
Oop. Lights are going to go off on top of the pace car, we believe, this time by. So that means that Benjamin Gregory and Terry Mattinson, Mike Owen, Jim McClure, Cam Stark, Lucas Laville, all going to get themselves the wave around this time by. And that is because they are scored ahead of the race lead. 139 laps. We actually had our first part of green flag running with a pit stop, but these guys now going to get their lap back.
Yeah, they're now all going to go round past the pace car, single file. That will give them all their lap back. So that is them sorted and back onto the lead lap of this race. Very lucky for them, because normally they'd get trapped a lap down if someone didn't decide to pit, but fortunately for them, they did decide to go down pit road, so they got that lap back. So that's very interesting to see there. Michael Armstrong will have to drop to the back of the field though for an EOL penalty for unnecessary contact. That was the contact with Miguel Angel Martinez on to pit road. He just didn't brake and, you know, went straight on, and that was the contact there.
So then, these guys are now just coming back, and they'll just about make it there before we go green. Miller from Chin from Dinkle, they're your top 3. I'm really fascinated to see what some of these guys are going to do on this restart. Now, Martin Miller leading for the first time really here today in this event, in that 36 car, led a lap or so earlier. But now it's back to green flag racing, 2 Banchero Sport guys out front. Then it's Dinkle on that 10 car for Vortex Sim Racing. Then it's iRacing Brazil. Just look at Martinez passing you on the outside line. They're beautiful restart by Martinez.
Really great restart from him. We'll have to get a replay of that restart up on your screens, as we actually got a Check up there, looking at the back of the field. I think that was Michael Armstrong there, got right into the back of Martin Nigel Kirkle. He was right over, Nigel Kirkin, sorry, he was right over the back of him and nearly actually run him round, I think, on the back straight wheel. Very close racing.
Incredibly close racing now. Of course, after his EOL penalty, just checking in on that guy who was struggling earlier on, then had a bit of a good run, then he struggled once again. That is Michael Armstrong in that number 14 car. He actually didn't get as much of a penalty as he would normally have got, because as all those cars got waved around, they fell back into line behind him. That's a very lucky penalty for Armstrong. And race control there could have actually EOL'd him after those guys got the wave around. He actually only lost about 6 positions, when in reality he should have lost about 10 of them.
Yeah, very, very, very lucky for him there. I think he should have actually lost a lot more. So whether race control will see something and give him another EOL at the next caution, if we get one and don't go green to the end now. Just under 110 laps to go. This is a very interesting race one, and it's really starting to shape up now, but very unfortunate for Terry Mattinson now. Looking all the way back into the P10 position. He was leading the race until he got trapped a lap down.
As it stands, Josh Chin, Martin Miller are trying to pull away from Michael Dinkle, and they've got themselves about a 4-car length advantage now. Of course, Miller and Chin are teammates. This is the first time we've really seen 2 teammates leading this race out front, and I think that Chin all of a sudden and Miller thought, hey, let's go and try and get ourselves a bit of a lead, but they're not quite able to fill out that gap for Michael Dinkle. Last time by 4 tenths per second. They come past the stripe once again. This time it's a little bit more. They're gaining a little bit every single lap. Now, if they can do this for the next 10 laps or so, then they will be able to pull away from Dinkle in that battle for P3. And Dinkle needs help right now from an unlikely bedfellow. That's going to be Miguel Angel Martinez in 4th, who's going to need a bit of help for those 2 to work together to really close up to Chin and Miller, because those 2 are hooked pretty much nose to tail.
Yeah, they really are hooked, and when I say IndyCar bump drafting, you lot are all going to go, what? Well, yes, we do it at Michigan. IndyCars do bump draft at Michigan, and that is nearly what we are actually seeing here. Joshua Chin trying to push Martin Miller around the raceway, but it's very, very interesting racing. We get a call there on the radio that Scott W. Smith has to pit. Apparently he hit the wall, so he's going to have a bit of front... Yeah, he's got a lot of front wing damage actually on that car, so whether he decides to retire that one from this race, we'll have to find out as he now makes his way past the orange stripe onto pit road. He will be lapped as Martin Miller now enters turn number 3.
And those top 2 drivers, Miller and Chin, last time by, it was almost 6 tenths per second. Let's see what it is as they come past the stripe once again. 148 laps in the book, and it's now up to 0.6 of a second. Nagel Kirkham. Oh, Nagel Kirkham's blowing an engine! Not often you see that.
Not in an IndyCar. What is going on here?
Wow, Nagel Kirkham literally just running himself down the back straightaway. I'm just trying to have a look at the replay of that. His engine just into turn number 3 and 4. It just looked as though he got into the high side, and that thing just started spotting out smoke.
I wonder if he shifted down by accident or caught his shifter paddles and hit the clutch. No, you can't shift down in these without clutching, so I don't see how he's done that. That's strange. I've never seen an IndyCar blow their engine. Never.
Well, I remember the Honda advert that for over 5 years that they didn't blow an engine in the what was then the ISOWC IndyCar series. They'd just blown one up in the virtual world. As Martin Nagel Kirkin out of the race due to an engine failure. Not often you see that. The number 82 car is out of the race, but out front. Almost 1 second is the gap now between Josh Chin and Miguel Angel Martinez, who's been able to get himself past Michael Dinkle. Now, with Martinez now ahead of Dinkle, will that gap start coming down a little bit? Because Martinez has about a 2.5 car length advantage of Dinkle. They come past the stripe, and lap time by, Chin and Miller only able to gain about 13 1,000ths of a second over Martinez. And we know Martinez's car is very good in this event. He's led up from pretty much the entire day. He's been in that front group. I just don't know whether he's going to have enough to catch, especially as that gap now is almost 1 second on the racetrack.
Yeah, I really don't think they're going to have enough to catch them Banshee Aero X guys on the racetrack. They seem unstoppable right now. Once you get hooked up like that around Texas, there is no stopping them. And should I actually say Broken Arrow Banshee? I think Martin Miller's part of, isn't he?
Aero X. Thank you.
Or Aero X, sorry, getting that a bit wrong there. And insulting Will as well with a few other drivers, I think. Oops. But no, these drivers are probably the best. They have the best setup around this racetrack. They have the drivers of Matt Cook as well in there. He knows how to set an IndyCar up very, very well.
Oh, that 154 now of 250. We won't make any comment about what Jake just said, but Miller and Chin now a 1.1 second advantage over Miguel Angel Martinez. Martinez that last time by did a 24.211. Josh Chin a 24.176. Now behind them you've got Nigel Marneve, and he is really falling behind Dinkle now. Then you've got Carl also right on the rear of Marneve. And then you've got Renato Augusto, who's running in the 7th position, Terry Martinson in 8th, Mikel de Jong in 9th, and then Michael Armstrong rounds out your top 10. Then you've got Jim McClure, very close there to Cam. That's not Cam Stark, actually. That is Benjamin Gregory, who's still trying to get some laps back in this event, despite the fact he scored 5 laps down, still pushing hard. And then you've got Jim McClure behind him in 11th, Cam Stark in 12th, Lucas Avil in the 13th position, the last guy scored on the lead lap. Less than 100 laps to go. Everyone's going to pit at least one more time. It's going to be very close, actually, to see whether they need to pit one more time or whether they need to pit 2 more times. I'm just having a look. They went back to green flag racing at like 141 of 250. I think they are just in the window to do it one more time, Jake.
Yeah, they are in the window to do one more pit stop. If they can get enough fuel saving done, it will only be 1 pit stop. It could be 2, but what's going on here? I think Mike Owen, I've actually just seen retire from the race. We've missed something here. There was a comment in chat as well saying he was blocked by a lapped car. You get a replay of that on your screens in a moment.
Yeah, this is actually the 613 car apparently Race Control's been asked to have a look at, which is Benjamin Gregory. We've talked about him already. And, of course, one more time, no blue flag rules in the ISOWC IndyCar Series. These guys are allowed to fight if they want to.
Yeah, they are allowed to fight, but I think there it's just a judgment of error. Mike Owen was actually on the outside of Benjamin Gregory, and watching it back now, I think Gregory has just lifted from his line and come up high a little bit, and also I think Mike Owen has actually expected Gregory to hold his line to the bottom, but I think Mike Owen also as well turned into that a tiny bit. So I think that's a racing incident there, so very unfortunate for Mike Owen. He's running very well with his teammate Cam Stark up in the P10 position. But a guy to mention though, should I say a couple of guys to mention were Nigel de Jong, Michael Armstrong and Terry Martinson. They were the guys all strapped a lap down there, 3 seconds off of that first lead pack. This is incredible stuff for them because they really need to get back up there if they have a chance of winning this race. But Joshua Chin and Martin Miller, 1.6 second gap now on the racetrack between the battle for P3.
And they say you can't put away at Texas. Those 2 drivers are right now. Martinez running that 3rd position. He hasn't really got any help because he's actually been able to pull away from Dinkle for the time being. Now I'm just wondering whether Dinkle actually is just trying to save a little bit of fuel, because actually, just redone the calculations, and they would have of course pitted on lap number 138. That means there was going to be 113 laps to go at the event, 2 laps under caution. Then actually they are probably about 1 lap short by my book.
This could be very interesting. In Will's book, your math's not always the best, is it? But it could be very interesting to see what's going to go on in front with Martin Miller and Joshua Chin, whether they decide to swap in a little while and save a bit of fuel, because Joshua Chin running behind will have obviously more fuel left in the tank than what Martin Miller will. So whether they choose to make that team strategy and switch later on in this stint is something we'll have to find out, but they're running very, very, very close together, and really great racing to see them 2 break away, and the gap is now up to 2 seconds on the racetrack.
I think we're going to have a more interesting finish than we actually are thinking about right now, because I've got a feeling that Martin Miller and Joshua Chin, they're pulling out front now, trying to get themselves as big a lead as possible, so that after this pit stop they can pretty much save fuel together. Now remember back to the Olympics, Jake, when you had the cyclists going around in circles and they were having to switch positions and draft each other? I think exactly the same with those 2 drivers.
This is Will's logic, everybody. But yeah, I do see where you're coming from, Will, where they got to save the energy, and you know, it is the same perspective, Will. I do agree with you. Yeah, it's a good comparison. So yeah, they will need to do that, and I think they will have to do that in the next 5 or 6 laps to be able to make that efficient with them two working together.
Yeah, and the gap is now up to 2.3 seconds on the racetrack. Marneef is right behind Carl also right now in that battle for the 5th position on the racetrack. Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget, coming your way in 7 days time, just a little under 7 days time, we have got ourselves the 9th round of the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series. In the second half of the season, it'll be from Silverstone. And after the race that Hugo Luis had, he wants to get himself back into championship form. Gregor Huttu's looking to make it 5 wins in a row. And Kazuki Omishima really repeat what was almost an emphatic victory in this series. So join us 7 days time for what will be another spectacular day in the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series. That will be, of course, on RaceSpotTV and on iRacing Live. And also, don't forget, next Saturday we have more ISOWC action. All lap around Road America. Sometimes that will be 6 PM GMT, another open wheel doubleheader here on RaceSpotTV. 13 cars scored on the lead lap, a lot of attrition early, but then we've had some very good green flag running. The big important thing is, for these drivers, they do not want to do what Armstrong did like last time by and lose it coming into pit road, because that almost really shook the field up quite a lot.
Yeah, it will really shake the field up a lot more if we get another yellow flag, because I think that will then bring back into contention the likes of Michael de Jong, Michael Armstrong and Terry Mattinsa. It will bring them back into this race because they were quite dominant out in front, and Martin Miller and Joshua Chin didn't really have any answers to do them and when they're out in front. So very unfortunate when they got trapped a lap down, and they got their lap back though, Will. So it's going to be down to these green flag pit stops if we get them. I can't really see a caution happening at the moment, except from around in this 13th spot really, because Jim McClure has actually been able to break away from that battling pack on his own. So Lucas Laville, Cam Stark and Benjamin Gregory all going to be sitting there, but I really don't think Lucas Laville and Cam Stark are really helped by the lap down car of Benjamin Gregory. He seems to be very aggressive for a lap down car, and he doesn't really seem to care that the other drivers are on the lead lap.
Yeah, and Benjamin Gregory of course has all the right to race in the world, but at the same time we've got to remember we are into the business end of this race now. Over 250 miles of this event scored complete. If you want to put it in kilometres, pretty much now 400 kilometres of this event are almost going to be scored complete. The next 10 laps or so, Gregory actually just catches the apron there. That's going to put off the rear of the field for the time being in what is not the battle for the 12th position, because of course Gregory has scored a lap down. Gap out front now is up to 3 seconds on the racetrack. Now Dinkel is, 1.3 seconds back from Martinez, so Martinez has got a very fast car underneath him, being able to not only catch, but then pass and pull away from Michael Dinkel on that 10 car, unless of course Dinkel's saving fuel already.
Yeah, Dinkel could be saving fuel already, but looking back further down the field, Will, we now have a brilliant battle going on for the P5 position. Nigel Manaf has really started to drop off from the rest of the field. Terry Mattinson now up there, Michael de Jong also up there, and Michael Armstrong also up there. And we actually see Reynold Augusto actually allowing them drivers by. He is one of our visiting drivers from iRacing Brazil. So very interesting to see what these guys are now going to be able to do, getting through. And Lucas Laville there not happy with someone on the racetrack, and I think that's Benjamin Gregory again.
Yeah, those two continue to run side by side. They've been that way for about 10 laps or so now. Gregory's just not giving up. Laville is running on that high side. In fact, I'm wondering if he's just going to allow Gregory to go past, get himself a little bit of clean air. Laville sticks on that outside line, Gregory down on the inside line. They continue to battle, and you've got Scott Smith there behind him, and you see there Laville just getting out of the gas, allowing Gregory to go past, and he probably now will just stick behind him for the time being. We'll keep our eye out, of course, on that battle, because this could be the place that we see the last caution of the day.
Yeah, it could be, but Will, you got to remember though, the leaders are catching as well. The leaders will be coming soon as well, so if these guys keep doing this, it's not going to get them anywhere, and it's just going to drop them back and back and back. I think Being Benjamin Gregory, if I was in that position, I would allow the lead lap cars to go by. He has the right to sit there, I know, but sit at the back of them and don't challenge them. They've got a race of their own to run, and I really don't think he's showing great sportsmanship towards his fellow drivers at the moment in time. So him losing a bit of respect, I think, from them guys behind him, but back out in front, Will, 3.5 second gap on the racetrack. Joshua Tin actually bump drafting Martin Miller there down the back straight. Incredible stuff here.
Terry Mattinson, Mikael De Jong, Nigel Marneef and Michael Armstrong, 4 guys separated right now by 6 tenths of a second. You can put Kyle also into that mix as well. Tornado Augusta has really started to slow down. And the 613 car is apparently just hit the wall. So this now has actually helped Neville out and it's helped Cam Stark out. Let's see whether Gregory is going to... He's going to try and stick on the outside line. Even though he's tugged the wall, he's still trying to race it. And he will now allow Cam Stark to go past him. And Stark getting a bit of clean air now. But you see again, Gregory's looking ready as if he's going to try and look back down to the inside of him. One thing that Gregory is doing is getting quite a bit of airtime right now for that 613 car.
Yeah, he is getting quite a bit of airtime, but I wouldn't say he's getting the most of respect, and respect is a lot of means a lot more to drivers, I think, than airtime for bad racing. So he needs to seriously start sorting himself out and maybe think about maybe sitting in behind these drivers, because he's not really helping himself or the others. As you can see a minute ago, he hit the wall, and that was because of his own fault of trying to race with the leaders. But I can see him running over Cam Stark soon, and that's going to put an end to him and Cam's race, and I don't think the drivers would be too happy to see another caution out when we could go green flag to the end in this one.
Indeed so. 3.7 second the gap out front, but we've got to keep our eye on Mattinson, De Jong, Marneef, Armstrong, and also that fuel saving is going to start coming into effect. And you've also got to remember these guys need to get to about lap 195 as Gregory almost made contact there with, I believe that was Cam Stark in that number 24 car.
We need to start focusing on this, Will. It's not a good battle. We need to start focusing up here again. They're a lap down, mate. But no, he is trying to make a move again, but it's going to be one of them things. I think Cam's just going to have to sit there and pull his hair out, I think, and get a bit more frustrated until he decides to wreck himself or wreck both of them. So, but looking back to the front of the field, Will, Terry Mattinson leads the second pack. That is of Terry Mattinson, Michael De Jong, Nigel Marneef and Michael Armstrong. But as you said, you can't rule out Carl also, who also sits at the back. Pardon the pun in that one. But very, very interesting racing, and them drivers are going to soon catch up to the likes of Miguel Angel Martinez and Michael Dinkel to challenge for them podium spots.
They are, and last time by, Mattinson did a 24.177, a 24.216 for Dinkel, and a 21.156 there for Angel Martinez. So Mattinson is now closing up to the rear of, actually that's Scott Smith who scored laps down, but then Michael Dinkel. The gap between those two drivers right now is about 1.4 seconds on the racetrack, so that's easily catch-upable for the that train coming up. Dinkel's going to get swallowed up around the time of pit stops.
Yeah, he is, and that's not really when you want to get swallowed up by the trailing pack. Excuse me. So it's going to be very interesting to see what the pit stops do throw up. So it'll be interesting to see if anyone can make a jump in the pit stop, and what these lead pair of the Broken Arrow and Aero X drivers can do out in front, or should I say...
You've got it wrong again.
I just got it wrong.
You know what? I'm just going to move him out of the way for a moment. He was talking about the Banshee Autosport Aero X racing cars on Martin Miller and Joshua Chin, both of them driving for Banshee Autosport. And they've now got a 4.3 second advantage over Miguel Angel Martinez. Jake Cameron has now come out of timeout for getting it wrong twice in one race. People are going to start thinking that I'm friends with people again. Scott Smith is just allowing some cars to go past him. 5 car is going past him there. 613 car is still battling with who is that, Cam Stark, in what is the battle for, not battle for anything on the racetrack. Race Control told the lap cars there to start playing nice as we get to the back end of this racetrack, as Benjamin Gregory now just lets out a little bit, so he's giving a bit of room to those cars ahead of him. But Mattinson has now got himself within about a second on Michael Dinkel. So, literally, Mattinson's going to be right on the rear of Dinkel as they come to pit stops. But let's not remember, Mattinson actually was the guy who was the slowest that last round of green flag pit stops from the drivers we saw.
Yeah, Mattinson was one of the slower drivers, and I'm not going to bother with the teams anymore, Will, because it's been a long day, so I'm a little tired. So I may get a few things wrong. But yeah, Mattinson...
Come on, really... I did twice as much as you in that last race.
Oh, don't go with the screaming again, Will.
Carry on.
But Mattinson really is going to get a really strong run in the pit stops if he can make it work. He's just got to be able to hold his nerve into pit road, because he's obviously going to have Michael de Jong and Nigel Maynard and Michael Armstrong, all strong contenders that will be able to take positions off him, and quick guys in pit lane. As he actually goes to the high line there, Michael de Jong looked to the inside, not close enough to make a move. So they're going to be catching Michael Dinkel right now. Actually, that gap's only down to 0.3 of a second on the racetrack, 0.4 of a second on the racetrack actually. So they're going to be on him within the next couple of laps, and that's when we're going to see pit stops coming out within the next 5 to 10 laps.
Oh no, shorter than that. It's going to be within 2 to 3 laps, I think. And guys need to do at least 2 more laps to be able to make it to the end of this race without stopping again. Keeping an eye out on the radio transmissions. No one has said that they're coming onto pit road just yet. These guys can get to the stripe one more time, then they might just be... I tell you what, Joshua Chin really is cracking the throttle. He might actually be able to steal one here over Martin Miller. Let's see whether these two guys are coming onto pit road this time by, because if they are, then they might just about be good to go to the end of the race. If they can do it to 196, then they definitely will be good to go towards the end of this race. And I think actually that ever since these guys have gotten the lead out front, they have just been able to turn the wick down a little bit. And as soon as they come out of pit road between Miller and Chin, it will be game on, race on between these two drivers. And Armstrong's the first one of these guys to blink, and he will be coming in from the 8th position on the racetrack. Of course, he's the guy who had the difficulties which brought out the last caution, bringing that car down onto pit road, and he almost loses it there, bringing it back on to the racetrack. Of course, Nigel Maynard as well. He was a driver who would have got himself a black flag had he have committed himself onto pit road, because he had 2 wheels on the racetrack through turn number 3.
Yeah, he did, and Terry Mattinson will now come down pit road, so he will leave that second group of cars, and he nearly comes back on the racetrack as well, and he gets very loose on the bottom on the apron. And these guys out front though, Martin Miller and Joshua Chin, they're still staying out. They're not come down this time either, Will. So that will
amazing
be lap
stuff.
98, sorry, that they may come down pit road. Or will they decide to stay out? Carl also now coming down pit road again. And that's really annoying when you say also and also after each other.
Martin Miller, and just making sure. I think Michael Armstrong might have put 2 wheels almost up onto the track. He was running a very high line. He got a little bit of banking there, which might help, but they are too wide coming onto pit road there. Some of the guys around him, and Nigel Maynard has been involved in an incident.
Didn't actually see that. That was an incident on pit road. Yeah, he spun out on pit road. Him and Michael Dinkel.
That is not what you want to have happen. Nigel.
Ow! Wow! That is
what happened was, Maynard just touched the grass, clipped the cone, and spun right ahead. And that'll just be a new front wing, really, for Michael Dinkel once he gets on. But he lost time and probably a couple of positions and the chance to get that podium as well. Maynard got a lot more damage to his car. He's going to have to get that repaired on pit road. And Maynard is out of the race. Joshua Chin, Martin Miller on pit road. Who's going to win the race off the bat? And I think, actually, Chin's got it over Martin Miller. Martin Miller's on pit road. Martin Miller, I think, may have got himself a penalty, because that was a very long pit stop for him.
Yeah, a real long pit stop for him. And Joshua Chin now keeping to the apron until the back straight. He now will come out and rejoin the track. Martin Miller only now coming out on the racetrack. This is shaking this race up a lot, and Michael Armstrong will now come out of turn number 2. He will come onto the back straight. Martin Miller's only now getting up into pace into turn number 3. Michael Armstrong may be able to hook up with someone here and catch up to Martin Miller, but Joshua Chin will be our no doubt leader. He will then have Cam Stark behind him. Cam Stark now falls a lap down, so he's actually managed to get away from that lap down pesterer of Benjamin Gregory, which I'm sure he will be happy about. But Miguel Angel Martinez really dropping back through the field as well.
6 seconds was the time that Martin Miller lost on that pit stop. Just having a look at the replay of his pit stop. Did he overshoot his pit box? No, he didn't. He just had a really long time on pit road. I'm not entirely sure what happened to Martin Miller. Oh no, Miller spun it coming onto pit road. Miller spun it coming onto pit road. That is what the issue was. And Martin Miller got himself, he did him Nigel Maneath essentially. He didn't touch the grass, but he lost that car on pit road. Replay is up on your screen. However, Joshua Chin now has, again, a 6.3 second advantage over everyone else. And Matinson is having a great battle right now with Michael Armstrong in what is going to essentially be the battle for the third position on the racetrack. And Renato Augusto is also classified as out of the race. Let's very quickly see what happened to him, because Augusto was having a very clean race until that point. Oh, Augusto just hit it out of 2.
Another thing there, getting very tight, and Michael Armstrong and Terry Matinson on the radios to each other saying, we're working together, we're going to catch Martin Miller. They're only 2 seconds off the back of him, so if they can do what Chin and Miller did, then I'm sure they've got a chance of catching up. And Chin and Miller actually made about a 6-second gap up, I think, on the last stint, Will. So they're about 8 seconds back from Joshua Chin, but Joshua Chin's running on his own. It'll be very interesting to see if these two can hook up and catch that lead car of Joshua Chin.
Now, last time it was a 24.2 for Terry Matinson, a 24.2 for Martin Miller. 2 cars normally work faster than 1, but we're talking about Martin Miller here, that number 36 car, who has, had multiple iRacing IndyCar Series championships to his name. He's been very good on these intermediate ovals. He's one of the top 10 drivers. You've got to put him in a category with people like John Paquin, people like Brian Norton, Brandon Traynor, people like Matt Cook, really, and Josh Chin. So Miller, he knows how to hassle his car around this racetrack, and actually, he was faster than Matinson was that last time by.
Yeah, Matinson seems to be struggling actually with Michael Armstrong. I thought they'd been catching Martin Miller using this draft to a big advantage, but they seem to be doing top end speed down the home straight. I've got Terry Matinson at 219 miles an hour entering turn 1. We'll just see what now Martin Miller does down the back straightaway. He gets 220 entering turn number 3, so he has got that mile an hour difference, and Matinson and Armstrong are working together, Will.
They really are. Joshua Chin, 6.3 seconds advantage. Actually, he is going slower. Actually, no, he gained a little bit that time. Chin was going slower than Martin Miller. Martin Miller last time 24.3. As we've got a car on pit road. That is Cam Stark, and Cam Stark has fallen victim to, I believe, that turn 2. Whoa, yes, he did. Another car hitting that turn 2-1. People say Texas is easy, but a couple of drivers have had some big issues here today.
Yeah, it's not the easy track. You say it is easy, but maybe in fix it is easy to run the bottom and unpassable, but Cam Stark there nearly losing it as well coming down the pit road. But in the Open Series, Will, everything's a different ball game. Everything's changed in the Open Series, and Scott W. Smith also comes down pit road now as Cam Stark just retires his car. Will Scott decide to retire the car, or will he take 4 fresh tyres and top up with some Sunoco race fuel? Yes, he will, and he will come out of his pit box in the 12th position.
Now, let's not forget that Smith has been an alternate strategy since the early going of this race. He had a bit of bad luck earlier, involved in some interesting battles earlier on in this race. But right now, your top 10, Chin from Miller from Matinson, from Armstrong, from De Jong, from Also, from Dinkel, from McClure, from Martinez, and then Leville rounds out your top 10. And McClure, again, in no man's land. He's catching Michael Dinkel, however, right now. About 10th of a second a lap. He's 1.4 seconds behind him. Carries on at this rate. He'll get the draft in 10 laps. That will be a good battle on the racetrack. The number 30 car coming out of pit road, rejoining the racetrack. And Martinez, just keeping an eye out on him. He is actually just a little bit slower right now than Jim McClure. But Martinez has such a good car earlier, and he's also now caught up to the real Scott Smith. That'll give him a bit of draft through turn number 1 and 2. You'll see he'll go down to that inside line, get the line out of the corner, and now actually Martinez might have a little bit to catch up to McClure, who in turn is catching up to Dinkel.
Yeah, he will have that little bit of draft there from Scott Smith, but Scott's not going to sit there and help out Martinez, so Martinez will be alone in a minute once he gets going from Scott Smith. But mentioning Scott Smith coming down pit road, he did actually lead a few laps as well, Will, after the third or fourth caution. So his race has gone downhill after that one. I think he was actually involved in a wall clip out on the exit of turn number 2. So I think I got a count of about 5 or 6 drivers that have actually fallen failure to turn number 2.
a number of drivers have done so here today. Of course, Brandon Trost was a failure to the inside of turn 2, but we've had a number of drivers who's failed to the outside of turn number 2 as well. And that kind of comes back down to these wind conditions and those in-car tools that we talked about earlier. The weight jacker, the anti-roll bars, the dirty air, the clean air, having to adjust your car. And also, these tyres do fall off a little bit, not much. But if you're abusing the weight jack and the anti-roll bars, what it actually does, it means that you've got to then use more adjustments and more aggressively later on in a stint.
Yeah, to hit the outside wall, it's quite common around here, and that is obviously the usage of tyres, the car's too loose or too tight, and you know, in more cases than none, it's the car's too tight and it just doesn't want to turn. But to hit the inside wall, Will, you just have to be goddamn special. So that sums that one up. But drivers are going to obviously be using their weight jacket and the ARB in the cars, and you know, I think some of the drivers have actually implemented that very well in this race. Michael Armstrong, Terry Mattinson, them guys have really implemented it very well into this race, and not only them, but Joshua Chin and Martin Miller being out front, they must be using that weight jacket furiously to change their balance of the car.
I think actually you're talking 2 batteries short of an Xbox controller. You didn't get that one. We'll move on. We'll talk about that one after the race.
I did get that one, but I won't going to laugh, because if I was to laugh, I think I'd kill everyone's ears like you did earlier.
Yeah, true. We'll play it for you again after the race. Josh Chin does still lead. I'm just having a look at the lap times between your top 5. Josh Chin last time a 24.293. Martin Miller 24.277. Terry Mattinson a 22.244. So Mattinson is catching Miller, is catching Chin, but I think realistically it's only going to be Mattinson able to catch Miller. But I actually think that Armstrong's car works better out front compared to Mattinson's.
Yeah, Armstrong seems a lot better out front, because currently you've got to look at Michael de Jong, who's actually closing in on these 2 cars. He's now a second back, and he's done this all on his own, Will. So you've got to look and say, are these 2 running better being together, or are they actually in theory slowing each other down? Because that's what I think they are doing, because they don't seem to be getting anywhere right now, and the gap between Martin Miller and Terry Mattinson is actually starting to grow.
Less than. Well, actually, I say less than. We've now got 31 laps to go in the 2014 ISOWC Showdown at Texas, powered by And Warner Designs. And Warner Designs, of course, the official graphics partner not only of the ISOWC IndyCar series, but now also of RaceSpotTV as well. And Jake, we're looking forward to some really sexy new graphics coming on RaceSpotTV in the next month or so.
Yeah, we're going to have to look out for them. They are going to look the bee's knees. I've not actually seen them yet. I've heard a lot about them, so I may have to be eligible for a sneak surprise maybe later on this week. But we're going to bring you a new, fresh look for RaceSpotTV, and we're going to make everything a bit more user-friendly and a lot more viewer-friendly as well. And hopefully you guys will enjoy it. Remember to give us your feedback on Twitter at RaceSpotTV.
If you're not careful, I'll give you a sneak surprise a little bit later on. But Chin is now got a gap less than 6 seconds to Martin Miller, as Miller continues to close his very consistent lap times, actually. Last 2 laps, there was a 2:03 and then a 2:01. Ever consistent is Martin Miller in that number 36 Banshee Autosports car. But again, Michael de Jong has caught up now to Michael Armstrong, and I think all things considered, that gap is actually still 1.9 seconds on the racetrack between Mattinson and Miller. If I was Mattinson, I would have just gone to the outside, see what would have happened if Armstrong was leading that group, because otherwise they're just scrapping for 3rd place, and of course 3rd place is good for points, but I think Mattinson, those last couple of laps, I think he's going to be freight trained by Armstrong and potentially de Jong anyway.
Yeah, I really do think Armstrong has a stronger car than what Mattinson does, so Michael Armstrong was leading that group actually earlier on, but Terry Mattinson did rather pass Michael because he didn't really know the line what Michael was running, so Michael decided to tuck in behind Mattinson. But I think he's made the wrong decision, really. I don't know whether he'll now get freight trained by de Jong and Armstrong, as Armstrong there looked to the outside into turn number 3, then look back down to the inside. But I reckon de Jong and Armstrong will hook up and leave Mattinson, because them two do have a stronger car than what Mattinson has.
Also, Jim McClure has pretty much now caught into the draft of Michael Dinkle. Last time by 24.238 for Jim McClure. This time by 24.243 for him. And he was a 10th faster than Michael Dinkle. And he's in that draft range pretty much now. 8 tenths of a second. He's really going to close up to Dinkle in the next couple of laps or so. And that's going to be the battle for 7th place on the racetrack.
Yeah, that's going to be a really good battle to watch towards the end of this one. Michael Dinkle got very unlucky on pit road though, so he just had to pick up a new front wing, and hopefully he got that car fixed and repaired. But Jim McClure is coming at a hurtling pace, and he's now in the draft, as you say, of Michael Dinkle, and that's going to give him a big tow down the straights and through the bends. But someone that's really dropped off in this one is Miguel Angel Martinez. He was running in that top 5 throughout the whole of this one until that third, fourth round of pit stops, Will, and he seems to be going backwards more and more.
Got to give a shout out to Shelley and Lola, both watching this race here on RaceSpotTV. Shelley, of course, the wonderful girlfriend of Jim McClure, who was so gracious and welcoming back in Indianapolis a couple of weeks ago, and Lola, possibly the biggest canine supporter of iRacing and the ISOWC. So shout out to both of you. And apparently, actually, Lola sits down and watches my commentary just like everyone else, and she doesn't complain about it as much as most people.
Well, I can complain about your commentary all day, Will, but to be honest, it's too good to complain about, so we couldn't complain. But looking back at the race anyway, Will, Benjamin Gregory has fallen victim to turn number 2 again. So that is 7 drivers falling victim to turn number 2. So that is that's sort of...
Lucas Laville is currently scored and the 10th place, but he's in danger of going a lap down to Joshua Chin. This long green flag run has really opened up this field in the last 100 laps or so it's almost been now. And as I said, back in 2011 we had the second longest green flag run in ISOWC history, just a tad over 300 miles of green flag racing. Here today it looks as though we're going to get ourselves about 200 miles worth of green flag racing. A lot of cautions early, but this second half of the race really has breezed by. Now less than 20 laps to go in this event, Jake.
Yeah, just less than 20 laps, yeah, as you say, Will, and we're now into the second hour of this race. You know, you wouldn't have thought it would have taken this long, but I think that first section of the race, the first 50 laps, actually took about 35 minutes to run, and for Texas, that's actually quite bad. You should be able to get 50 laps done in easily a 15-20 minutes. So, very, very unfortunate for the drivers that actually fell short to them cautions within the first 50 laps, and we did lose quite a lot of drivers early on, and you know, as the field dwindled down, and you know, we've only now got, I think, 12 cars left running, Will. It's come down to green flag stints, and that's like what we want to see, and you know, the drivers have really gave us what we want to see in this last section of the race.
The effing hippie has caught now up to Michael Dinkle on that battle for the 7th place on the racetrack. Dinkle for Vortex Sim Racing, McClure for Panther Offline Racing. Coming back down into turn number 1 once again. Now, if you're McClure, do you wait until the last couple of laps to make that pass? Knowing the fact that, of course, Race Control is going to pay a lot of attention to what we will call overly defensive driving.
I wouldn't leave it to the end if I was him. I'd leave it until another 5 laps with 15 to go, and then you can just run the CCM line and hopefully get away with it, and Race Control just breeze it by with no blocking. But it's all down to the driver and how confident he feels with his car, and currently he looks to the outside of Michael Dinkle, so he must be very confident in that car, Jim McClure, as he actually now tucks it back down in line with Michael Dinkle. So he must have a bit of confidence to try it around the outside, Will.
Yeah, but that gap between Chin and Miller is now down to just 5 seconds on the racetrack. Miller's taken an entire second off Joshua Chin. I am starting to think maybe is Chin a little bit late on fuel, because he's really lost a lot of time since pit stop. He's lost over 2 seconds.
Yeah, he has lost a lot of time, but look at lap times, Will, and the last lap by Martin Miller run a 1:54.155. I'll get it right in a minute. And Joshua Chin's lap time was a 24.141, and he's now just gone and put in a 24.114. So the lap times are pretty much the same, as Martin Miller now crossed the line with a 24 dead. So the lap times are the same, Will. So it's going to be something to to see to the end of the race, but I don't think he's going to be able to cut down 5 seconds in just under 10 laps. Over 10 laps, sorry.
Yep. And that battle for 3rd, 4th and 5th place continues as well. So we've got 2 great battles to end this event.
Yep, 2 great battles, and 2 great battles between some great drivers. You know, Michael de Jong there, Michael Armstrong, Terry Mattinson, 3 of the best there. You also got Michael Dinkle and Jim McClure battling it out for that 7th spot, all them vital points. But I really do think, as I said a moment ago, Will, that Martin Miller has left it a little too late to get going. And looking at Jim McClure now, he's going to try and make it around the outside of Michael Dinkle. He sticks his nose to the outside and he's just not got enough there. So he's going to tuck back down, but he's starting to make that move now, Will, with just 12 laps to run.
12 laps left to go in this ISOWC Showdown at Texas. It's still Chin leading from Martin Miller, and Miller now just coming up a bit of lap traffic. Chin's able to get that gap up to 5.5 seconds there, with a little bit of help from a draft. That is Lucas Laville, who is now caught and passed. Terry Mattinson, Michael Armstrong, Michael de Jong, they are continuing to run pretty much nose to tail. It's going to be a case of who blinks first in this. And of course, Armstrong, you've got to say, is that guy who might be in that sitting duck position, because if he does, see, here comes de Jong down to the inside, as I was just about to say, of Armstrong, and de Jong is now going to go up into the 4th place in this event.
Michael Armstrong there, getting it terribly wrong on the back straight. He looked to the outside of Terry Mattinson, hoping that de Jong would follow him. And de Jong just said, no, I'm going up the inside of you and leaving you out there. But Michael Armstrong, sorry, going to look to the outside. He's going to run that car right up the top there. Not going to be able to go around the outside.
Oh, is that car on the wall? That's Scott Smith in the wall. We could get a caution. He's going to bring that car down onto pit road, however. We'll stay green. Scott Smith on the outside there of turn number 3 and 4, getting that car oh so high. And I'm not quite sure what happened to him, actually. I think he was trying to pit. Something just broke on that race car, I think, because he just speared into that outside safer barrier. Thankfully, we stayed green.
I think he hit turn number 2, Will. I think he hit the wall on
that's
the
what, our 8th victim?
Yeah, 8th victim of the race. Yeah, he hit turn number 2, and that's obviously just knocked his steering out. And as he's come down to pit road, he's tried to turn left, and the car's not wanted to, and he's gone very high into the wall. Good for him to keep it in the wall, though, as them lead lap drivers go by. Then he's pulled it straight down to pit road, and he has retired that car. So Scott W. Smith will retire from this race in 11th position. But Jim McClure there on the radio, he's having a little moan at Michael Dinkle, whether he pulled out a block there. It's going to be to race control to say, and they've just gave every driver a warning on the racetrack to not be overly aggressive on the racetrack, because you will get penalties.
Yep, and the gaps continue, and you see now McClure once again looking to that outside. What's happening between de Jong and Mattinson? Those 2 drivers literally about 0.2 of a second. De Jong tries planting it down the inside in the centre of the corner. That's going to allow Armstrong to get a good run out of the corner. He's going to look to the outside there of de Jong. He wants to battle for the 4th position with, let's get it, 5 laps to go at the line. Chin from Miller, from Mattinson, from de Jong, from Armstrong. They are your top 5. Armstrong lost an opportunity there in these last 5 laps. You've got to time every opportunity to perfection. And again, it comes back to what I was saying earlier. Get that run out of turn 3, run a little bit high in the early part of the corner to get the run out of the corner. That way you can slot that car down to the inside, but only if you get the run. And you've got to be careful as well that you don't go below that white line when you make that pass.
Yeah, you've got to be very careful and not to go below that white line, because it does really throw your car about. Michael de Jong all over the back of Terry Mattinson now as they come to the start-finish line. That will be 4 laps to run. This time by, drivers will be clenching their butt cheeks, hoping they can make that last-second move. And Terry Mattinson really getting at Michael Armstrong right up the inside. He forced that move there. Michael Armstrong literally forcing de Jong out of the way by using his front wing. And wow, that was an aggressive move from him. And Terry Mattinson now able to drive away. 3 laps left to run, Will.
3 laps left to go, and Armstrong, whilst he runs side by side with de Jong, and that actually gives Mattinson a little bit of breathing room. McClure still battling with Dinkle in the battle for the 7th position on the racetrack. Mattinson still got himself that podium finish, potentially, this time by 2 laps to go for Joshua Chin. Any flag from here on in will be the penultimate flag we see. If we get a yellow, that's the race over. If we get the white flag, then of course we'll get the checkered flag the lap after that. Joshua Chin working himself now out of corner number 4, this time by the white flag in hand. One more lap to go at Texas. He's got himself a 5.6 second advantage over Martin Miller. Terry Mitchinson still running in that 3rd position. Armstrong right behind him as they take the white flag. And will Armstrong try and make that move now? Out of corner number 2, perhaps see him go a little bit high there through the centre 1. No, he doesn't. He's going to really try and plant that car on the exit of turn number 2, all over the rear on Mitchinson, but not able to get the job done. Josh Chin comes past. He will take victory here in that number 93 Banshee Auto Sports car. Martin Miller's going to come home in that 2nd position. Will Mitchinson be able to hold on for 3rd? I think the answer is going to be yes to that one. Armstrong's going to come home in 4th. Oh, but I think Mitchinson ran out of fuel at the line there. The battle between McClure has been able to get himself past Michael Dinkle on the last lap of the race, but Martinez is there as well. Those 3 drivers oh so close at the start or finish line. Did Martinez potentially run out of fuel towards the end of that race?
Wow, what a finish there. Jim McClure making up that position on Michael Dinkle. Martinez making up on Michael Dinkle as well. But what a battle there for the 3rd position. Terry Mitchinson running out of fuel just before the line. And I saw Armstrong come in that quick. I thought, what the hell's happening here? And it was Terry Mitchinson out of fuel. And wow, he's probably nipping his bum cheeks out of that one, Will.
At the end of it, Terry Mitchinson was literally, get this, just 14 1,000ths of a second ahead of Michael Armstrong. In fact, the funny thing is, if Armstrong didn't try and go for that move out of 2, he would have been ahead of Mitchinson at the line. But what a great finish we had. This is actually the 4th running of our Texas event, and of course it is the 2014 ISOWC Showdown at Texas. Let's run through your final race results. I'm going to take a quick break, switch team speaks, and then get ready for post-race interviews. So, it is Josh Chin who takes victory from Martin Miller. Gap between those 2 drivers, 5.5 seconds on the racetrack. Terry Mitchinson in the 3rd place with Michael Armstrong in 4th. Mikael De Jong in 5th. Carl also in 6th. Jim McClure in 7th. Miguel Angel Martinez in 8th. Michael Dinkle in 9th. And Lucas Real rounds out your top 10. Scott Smith in 11th. Benjamin Gregory in 12th. Cam Stark in 13th. Nigel Marneef in 14th, Renato Augusto 15th, Mike Cohen, Martin Nakel-Kirken, Brian Walker, Now McBride and Andres Warner. They round out your top 20. We're going to step aside for just 1 moment's time, then we'll be right back for post-race interviews here on RaceSpotTV. You're watching the ISOWC Showdown at Texas.
Fans, it's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Drivers, start your engines!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the 2014 ISOWC Showdown at Texas. Jake, a lot of cautions early, but then good green flag racing at the end. Joshua Chin takes victory in the number 93 car.
Yeah, we had a caution fest to start. Cautions were breeding cautions, but as car numbers started to dwindle down, we saw some green flag racing, and that's what everyone wanted to see. And in the end, Joshua Chin was the guy to come home and take the win.
And we welcome in our race winner into virtual victory lane. Congratulations, Joshua Chin. Took victory there by Martin Miller. Miller had that spin on pit road. You got yourself a 6-second advantage. Last 10 laps, you're saying, please no caution. Take us through your race.
Yeah, it was a pretty long, eventful day. Didn't really get much practice and had to do a little bit of setup work beforehand, but we found something that worked really well, and in the race it was fast and just had to survive. It was such a long race.
Talking about survival, the first half of the race, it seemed to be every time that people were racing around you, you just drop to the rear. I actually call it the Will Vincent strategy, even though you don't smoke, give it the opportunity to just drop to the rear, save a bit of fuel, chill out a little bit. Was that the intention? Just keep your nose clean, stay out of all the action for that first half, and then race in the second?
Yeah, I didn't want to get involved in anyone else's crap, and I figured it's a long enough race that fuel strategy was going to come into it a little bit, and it ended up when that yellow came out in the middle of the green stops, and I was able to leapfrog a couple people doing that.
Then you had that great, you pulled that great moment where you pulled away with Martin Miller to what, a 6-second advantage over the rest of the field. Of course, you two are teammates, but was that the sort of thing, you know, wait until after the pit stop and then start fighting? At what point, had Miller not have had his incident, would you two have actually started going tete-a-tete?
I kind of figured we wouldn't do anything until the very, very end if possible, just to make sure we didn't give anything back to the field, and it was such a long way to go even with the pit stop that it's like it's not worth the battle right now. We got a long way to go.
Now, you've not raced all too much here in the ISOWC this season. However, when you have, you've had some good finishes. Of course, we'll go back to a road course next week at Road America. And, of course, in 16th Street Racing League, that is a track that you're pretty much dominant at. You looking forward to that event?
Yeah, hopefully I'll have next Saturday open and I'll be able to run, but if not, you know, good luck to everyone that is running. I know Michael is going to be quick as always, so it would be a challenge there.
And anyone you want to say thank you to before we let you go?
Yeah, Banshee Autosport, Aero X, really good setup this week. JDR Graphics, Car Club at UCF, we just held our first charity meet of the year, I guess, and Family Game Days, and yeah.
And just so you got that one, Jake, it's Banshee Autosport and LOX Racing.
Wait, it's been a long day. No.
Look, none of this Broken Arrow and LOX Racing.
What do you mean Broken Arrow, X, and
yeah.
Banshee Broken Arrow?
Yeah. I mean, I know we joked about it, but, you know, no. I love the guy. I love 90% of the people over at Broken Arrow, of course. They're all great guys. So we'll give them the credit for what they deserve. However, you've got Terry Mattinson, who came home third on the great battle he had at the end. So take it away, Jake.
Well, Terry, great race for you. Unfortunately, you got trapped a lap down under them green flag pit stops when the caution came out, and that really did change your race strategy, didn't it?
Yeah, it's like I went from first to almost, I don't know, mid-pack 15th or something, so I just had to fight my way back, be patient.
Yeah, you were having a really strong race before that. You'd led the most laps of the race up until that point, and was there really any strategy until that? Because we thought you running out on front on your own, you're going to use a lot more fuel than running behind someone in the draft.
No, I was just going for it. I thought I could hold the lead because my car handled really well, and I don't think anybody could have got around me, really.
So very confident on the setup, and we did actually see that on the track as well, and you did have a very, very tight finish there with Michael Armstrong and the other car. I can't remember who it was.
He ran out of fuel, remember?
Yeah, Michael de Jong, yes, and you ran out of fuel coming across the line, and did you undercalculate that one?
Yep, I undercalculated by, well, it would be a gallon, of course, but it was like 1/10 of a gallon, but oh well. I wanted to cut it close on my pit stop.
So you weren't bringing fuel saving into into the race at any point during the last stint?
Nope, not at all. I was just going for it, and just I thought maybe I could make up a little time by cutting it very, very close, but I almost cut it too close.
That you nearly did. And any thank yous you'd like to say?
Well, I just want to thank my team members over at Banshee Autosport Aero X for the help on the setup, and Will here at Glacier TV for all the good stuff he does.
It's RaceSpotTV. RaceSpotTV. Get it right.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's RaceSpotTV. And for all the good stuff you guys do over here, and for Will commentating and all that. So I just want a big shout out to RaceSpot for doing this. Thanks.
Well, I wouldn't really say Will does good things, but if that's your opinion, Terry.
Let's move him out of the way, shall we? There we are.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, Terry Matinson coming home in the 3rd place. In fact, we are going to allow Jake to do one more interview. You've got Mikel de Jong. He came home P5, Jake.
What? Yeah, I'm back with it now, Will. You sort of moved me out and I lost track of where I was. But, Michael, great race for you as well. Another unfortunate getting trapped a lap down, same as Terry did. And did that really upset your race as well, or did you manage to bounce back from that?
Yeah, thanks. Well, I managed to bounce back because I just Terry and me drove through the field after that and just came back to the front, really.
Yeah, you did sort of try and drive back to the front, but it looked like the strongest car out of the U3 was Michael Armstrong. So was there not a decision there to let him lead that charge to try and maybe catch Martin Miller?
Actually, no. I think Terry had the better car, so he led the train, and it worked mostly.
Yeah, it did work quite well for you in the end. But your first stage of the race, when cautions were breeding cautions, were you getting really annoyed by the race pace you had, and you weren't able to show it really under the cautions we were having?
No, I was fine, really. I knew it was going to be caution, so I was just taking it easy, trying to stay out of trouble and make it to the end, and then I was going to attack at the end.
Well, congratulations on that 5th position, and any thank yous you'd like to say?
Well, thank you to my team, Mad Cape Racing. I've just joined them, and we had a really good car, so thanks to them.
Well, there you go, Will. I'll hand it back up to you, your main man.
And we've got the effing hippie himself, Jim McClure, coming home in the 7th place here today. Jim, good race. Tough race. You were involved in some very close battles, and I know that a little bit of concern over what we call the overly defensive driving, but you came home, got past Michael Dinkin on that last lap.
Yeah, I had a great car. I qualified really crappy and started in the back, and then the one time I didn't pit early was the one green flag run we had that we got a yellow that would have helped. I got caught a lap down, but had a really quick car by myself, little trouble in traffic, but great job by Niles, who did most of the work this time around.
And, of course, you did get yourself back onto the lead lap in that long green flag run. How close was the fuel for you at the end?
I think I was about a gallon to the good. So, we took, how we calculate our miles over here.
Well, yeah, we calculate it in miles despite the fact that Texas, despite being the heartland of America, in many ways, despite they want to run kilometer race, which is a little bit weird.
Yeah, it was a good time, good battles, great league. It's good to get out here and just, have fun. Try not to get too worked up.
Had yourself a good race. You and your teammates working well together, and rumour has it that you had a little bit of Niles' special spaghetti sauce before the race as well.
Well, of course. What else you gonna do?
Gonna run again at Road America next week?
I'll be traveling most of the week. Depends on if I get home in a time to where I feel I can get out there and not be a menace.
And before we let you go, we want to clarify the name for you guys right now, because at one point you were Panther Offline, then you were Snake Pit Racing, now you're Panther Offline again. Would you like to do the clarification on that one?
Really, it's hasn't been decided. We've had some nearly unanimous votes, but the one guy we want to sign off of it's a little busy this time of year.
Well, before we let you go, anyone you would like to say thank you to, apart from the main man, Mr. Niles Anders himself?
Oh yeah, I got to thank Niles. Tim Holgate did a lot of work for us. Chris Cahill, Joe Branch, great group of guys. Had more fun just hanging out with them than anything.
Well, say hello to Lola and, of course, to the wonderful Shelley for me. And thank you very much for talking to us.
Thanks, Will.
You've got Michael Dinkle with you right now, I believe. There, Jake?
Michael, great race for you. Another solid start from you, and you got right up into the front and the mix of it. And then it all started to go a little wrong again under the cautions and in the pit stops.
Yeah, at the pit stop, I think it was Nigel actually, but something like that will happen. It's racing, and at the moment I was not very funny about this, so I was a little bit angry, to say it a little bit. That is not. I was shouting into the mic at the moment, but yeah, after 5 laps it was all okay. It was only the front wing, and it's all gone for now. I mean, I finished 9th. It was good for me. It's an oval race, and I finished it. That was for me the goal.
Yeah, we saw you last week at Richmond have a very, very strong race, and you actually led most of the race, and to then run out of fuel with only 5 laps to run, that must have been a big disappointment for you.
Yeah, it was, and I have to thank Robert, because I was screaming to him, how many laps did I have to run? And I was really scared not running. I don't want to run out of fuel at the end of the race again, so Robert did a good job here and managed me to say how many laps I have left, so it was quite okay. But as you said, at Richmond it was a little bit disappointing. I needed only 1 caution, but that's racing. But it's fun at the same time that winning and losing is so close together.
Yeah, it is. Well, we head back to the road circuits next week, and we head to Road America. And is that one of your favourite road circuits, or are all the road circuits your favourite?
Road America is a nice track, especially with this car, and my playground is more on the road races. So especially, I'm always looking forward going to the road races, and Road America is one of them too.
We're going to see you back next week in your dominance performance on the road circuits. Is there anyone you're sort of worried about showing up next week that could give you a challenge?
It's always good when guys appear and challenge, and it's always nice to see guys from the oval competition and try their best to go on the road side of racing. And it's something this league, and especially IndyCar, is known for. It's always good to have oval and road races together on one track. That's something I appreciate really, because this is something that makes this car and league special.
I totally agree with you on that one there, and I think most of the other guys watching and the drivers will agree with that one as well. So, any thank yous you'd like to say?
Yeah, as I said, Robert especially, because he managed me through the field, and all the other guys who worked on this setup, and we managed to finish it. That's it. And so thank you for the broadcast, and good job, guys.
Well, I'll head back to you, Will.
And before we go any further, I think it's about time that we give out the Hugo Louise Pit Award. So named because streamer for today, Hugo Louise, has had some very good pit stops. Can we say good, or should we just be honest and say really bad pit stops in the ISOWC.com?
No, he had a really good pit stop today, though, didn't
he? He did. Generally, the last 4 races in the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series, we've all been making fun out of Hugo Louise for his pit stop. So we've got 3 contenders, I think, for the Hugo Louise Pit Award. You've got Martin Miller spinning it on pit road. We've got Nigel Maniv spinning it on pit road and taking out Michael Dinkle. We've also got Terry Mattinson for, I think, the most accurate replication of Hugo Louise entering pit road. So which one's going to win it for you, Jake?
What about Brandon Trost spinning himself out on the exit of pit road?
No, he didn't spin it out on pit road. He decided to do it before he came onto pit road.
Well, I would have to give it to, I think, Nigel Maniv, because he did it in such spectacular style.
There you are, Nigel Maniv, the winner of the Hugo Louise Pit Award. And what he gets for that is he loses 4 positions from what he normally did. In fact, he pretty much did that here today. Nigel Maniv, unfortunately, out of the race in that 06 car. Got a bit of time left. We've got the opportunity to talk to Lucas Laville. He came home in the 10th position in that number 11 car. Lucas, first car scored 1 lap down. That long green flag run kind of hurt you.
Yeah, it did. I was hoping to get a caution at the end to to stay on the lead lap, but unfortunately it didn't come. But top 10 is a great result for me. Texas is not my favorite track, but I'll take the top 10, definitely.
You did seem to struggle a little bit in that long green flag run. Was that car set up to work better in traffic compared to running alone?
Firstly, I set car up to run in cleaner, but it was really tight early on, and I got to make a few wing adjustments. So it was better at the end, and especially at the end of the run, unfortunately. But it was better in traffic. So running 60 laps at the end alone was a bit of a killer for me.
And we've done 2 ovals in a row. Now we go to essentially 3 points paying road courses at a row. We've got a race, of course, at Road America, and we've got 2 races at Watkins Glen. Are you going to be happy to go back to the road courses?
Yeah, I consider myself more of a road racer, even though I'm pretty much a rookie here. So I'm looking really forward to Road America, and especially Watkins Glen.
Well, before we let you go, anyone you'd like to say thank you to?
Yeah, first of all, thank you very much, guys, for putting this whole thing together and for giving us great broadcasts. And also, big thanks and shout out to Matt Kingsbury, who helped me with the setup this week.
Well, Lucas O'Neill coming home in the 10th position. And finally, Scott Smith, you've been in the wars today in that 11th place in number 30 car. All over the place. Ran up front for the early part of the going. You made a little bit of loving with that turn 2 wall. Take us through your event.
Not really much I can say. Just about midway through, cracked turn 2 wall. Ended up with issues on the right rear. Got into the pits, went down 4 laps, and just grinded away to 11th. Better than 26th, I think it was at Homestead. So I'll take it.
You'll take it. Back to the road courses next. Gonna be happy on the road courses, or are you more of the oval guy?
I'll admit I'm an oval guy, but I'm looking forward to Road America. I'm gonna be going in probably tomorrow, do some testing, and see what it has in store for next week.
Well, before we let you go, I'd like to say thank you to anyone.
Yes, I'd like to thank the RaceSpot guys, yourself, Will, and Jake for broadcasting this. I'd like to thank iRacing for the software. And I'd also like to thank Last Lap Motorsports, Ray, Matt Kingsbury, now McBride and the like for helping on the adjustment of setups and a baseline. And aside from that, thank you to everyone. And I do have an apology to Martin Nigerkirchen for if it seemed like I did block him earlier in the race. I was not intending to. But aside from that, good run. Thanks, guys.
Your punishment for that is you've got to say Nagelkirchen 10 times without, messing it up. You don't have to do it here. Also, Jake, the first time anyone's ever thanked Niall McBride.
What, Niall McBride? You mean the guy that spent his whole race on pit road?
Yeah. In fact, he might win the Hugo Louise Pit Award, to be fair.
To be honest, I'm glad that we didn't do as many updates on him as what we were expecting to do, Will. Because if we'd have done like what we did to Empty Box, we wouldn't have been able to commentate about anything else. It had just been Niall McBride pit updates.
True story. Driver of the race.
Interesting one. I couldn't really give a driver of the race, I don't really think, Will. I think every driver shone out in their own way, and if I've got to give it, I'd have to give it to... God, it'd have to be Joshua Chin. He made a brilliant move at the end of that race, and him and his teammate made a really great ending to that one, so I've got to give it to both of them, really.
Yeah, I think him and Martin Miller, for really being able to pull away, they did a great job. You've also got to consider all those guys that finished in the top 10, of course. Got a couple other things that we could discuss, of course. City Crash of the Day, that is going to have to go to the 007 car, Brandon Trost. Not making any fun, but hitting that inside wall at turn number 2, takes a rather unique individual to do so. So congratulations to Brandon Trost for the crash of the day. And also for, I think, heart of the race. You've got to give that to Benjamin Gregory, because he was 4 laps down, but he was still trying.
Part of the race, more like annoyance of the race for some drivers. I won't ask Lucas about that one.
I'm a professional broadcaster. Yeah, I've got to call it heart.
Because I don't think Lucas will have a few nice words to say about him.
I'm not going to comment on about
it. But I really do think he was a bit of a menace in that one, but he was showing good spirit.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is all we have time for. Cue the dubstep! Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back next Saturday with not one but two races here on RaceSpotTV. We start, of course, with the ISOWC World Championship Grand Prix Series that will be taking place from Silverstone, the first time ever that WTS drivers are having to run two races back-to-back in the ISOWC World Championship Grand Prix Series. So join us for that. 1:30 p.m. GMT, we've got qualifying and then the entire race itself. Then a little bit later on, we've got road racing action from Road America. Mark Minute calls it the greatest challenge of road racing in North America. We'll be here for that one. Start time for that will be 6 p.m. GMT. Once again, here on RaceSpotTV. Then don't forget, we have got ourselves on the 5th of July, 500 drivers trying to do 500 miles at Pocono. It's the biggest event the ISOWC has ever put on. As we're into the month of July, which we like to call the ISOWC Indy month itself. We've then got the week after that qualifying, 2 weeks after that actually, qualifying for the ISOWC Indianapolis 500. Before we get ready for the ISOWC Indianapolis 500, the day before that, we've got ISOWC versus 16th Street Racing League versus iRacing Brazil, as we have ourselves the RaceSpotTV IndyCar All-Star Race. It's going to be a fascinating event for that one, and that will be here, of course, on RaceSpotTV simulcast on iRacing Brazil. Thank you very much for being a part of our Saturday action. For those of you who've tuned in to the ISOWC World Championship Grand Prix Series and also the ISOWC Showdown at Texas. This has been a RaceSpotTV presentation of the ISOWC IndyCar Series. For myself, Will Benson, from Jake Cameron, Hugo Louise on cameras. We'll talk to you all next time. Check it out. Bye-bye.